meeting of the Town of Southampton Planning Board in accordance with the Governor's Executive Order 202.1 and its related extensions, and until further notice, all of the board's meetings will be held remotely via video conference, so we ask the public to continually check the town's website for updates and new information. Can we have a roll call, Gloria, please?
Yes. Chair LaFaro,
Present.
Vice Chair Finnerty,
Present.
the Secretary is here. Board Member Long,
Present.
Board Member Zuccarelli,
Present.
Board Member Catalinato.
Present.
We are all here. We have a quorum.
Great. Can we please join in for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Gloria, do we have any minutes to adopt?
Yes, the February 25th minutes from both the afternoon and evening session.
Feb 25. Motion to accept by Dennis, second by Gloria. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions. We have minutes, and we will close the afternoon session and go into a work session for 325 Rose Hill Road. Matthew, that's you.
Yes.
You
And
know,
Charles, can you let in Brian Locasio, please?
Yes.
Thank you. And we'll get the screen up and give you guys a brief introduction and then turn it over to Brian.
thank you.
You're welcome. All right, this is a work session to discuss a covenant amendment related to further subdivision for Lot 2 of the subdivision of the Convent of the Sisters of Mercy. This is in connection with a pre-application that we have that was deemed incomplete. I believe I think it was the second meeting in April, 325 Rose Hill Road. It is a covenant. Let me just show you the subdivision. This is the proposed subdivision. There's an existing retreat convent building that's to be demolished. Lot 1 is here. Lot 2 is in the back. This is the original subdivision. This is in, I believe, 1998. This was filed. So the existing convent is here. This is now a single-family home. The applicant's seeking potentially to amend the covenants for further subdivision. The one we're looking at is number 2 here, which, there shall be no further subdivision resulting in additional building lots of any of the 2 lots as shown on the aforesaid subdivision map and as approved by the planning board of the town of Southampton.
Can you show us the, so they're taking down that front house?
Yeah, it's a pretty large,
It's a large structure.
yes, it's I believe 44 bedrooms with a convent that's going to be demolished, and then they want to do 2 single family building lots.
So the line will go right down the middle?
It's a little hard to see on here.
Yeah.
Let me just escape and zoom in, just because we got a lot going on this map. This is the line.
Yeah, it's a flag lot.
Yeah, and then the flag lots in the back.
Flag, okay.
Yeah, in the back, there's wetlands, so that's involved. It's obviously going to get referred to Marty's office, but this is to consider the board's stamp on that covenant amendment. It does say, and as approved by the board, there is also that caveat at the end that the covenants can be amended following a public hearing.
And when were the wetlands flagged? Date, July?
They were just done within the last year.
Hi, Brian, welcome.
Brian Locasio with the Adam Miller Group. How are you all?
Okay. So they were flagged in 2020?
2020, yep.
So they're current.
Correct.
And do you have setbacks here? Well, why don't you speak to it?
Yeah, the map does show the 200, the 150, 125, all the conservation board setbacks. Lot 2, the proposed waterfront lot, is a larger lot to allow for a building envelope and respect the necessary setbacks from the wetlands. There is already a conservation buffer on the property as shown in the shaded area. We understand anything on this lot or is subject to conservation, but we were in our layout of this map, we made Lot 2, the rear lot, go as deep as possible while still preserving a conforming lot on the street, so as to respect the wetlands buffer and distance.
You leaving the swimming pool?
No, the swimming pool will be removed. And they're also,
the whole property is going to be.
yeah, and this property currently has an existing conventional 60-bedroom septic system. So, that of course would also be removed. And as a requirement, we would have single-family dwellings with IA systems placed here. It would be 2 single-family dwellings, as opposed to, the up to 60-bedroom use of the convent. The associated traffic with that. So it would be a less dense use of this lot. As Matt noted, the covenant does allow for your board to amend this as a majority plus 1 vote. And in viewing this and the date and how it shows the proposed site plan, including the convent, my sense is that you were extra stringent on this because of the proposed, intense use of this lot. So you didn't want to have the convent then an additional further subdivision, which obviously makes sense. So, that condition would no longer remain had we decided to go, if we're able to go forward with this proposed 2-lot subdivision.
Any architectural features of the convent itself that can be reserved or
Jackie, it's a fairly new building. This
It-
was built in 1998. I don't know that there's anything that's,
Oh.
Yeah, I would
Okay.
say no. I mean, happy to explore that, but I don't think there's anything.
Yeah.
It's not
Nothing.
by no means a beautiful structure.
Brian, can I ask, on a lot of religiously owned properties, there are covenants, reverters, intentions, keep it as some kind of religious, is there anything on this property at all?
There is not, no, and it's been recently sold out of the religious ownership.
Okay,
So it's now in new ownership. So
okay, so we don't have to worry about a reverter or anything?
correct, yep.
I remember doing the map in '98, and that was the board's concern that we have this large dormitory style facility in close proximity to the wetlands, and the parcel was actually oversized, and we didn't want it to be further subdivided with the dormitory, with the facility in place. But the fact that you say you're demolishing it, right, Brian?
Correct, yes. We
Right.
removed in its entirety. All structures there would be removed, including the abandonment of the existing large conventional septic system.
Yeah,
which I
so
think
that's,
obviously
those
the benefit to
concerns
this lot.
are somewhat, eliminated because now there's no dormitory there.
And I don't know if you have the ability to show an aerial next to the lot. These lots would certainly be the proposed lots in conforming the lots across the street as you go further north and south. The lot immediately adjacent to the north and south are large lots, but otherwise the 1.5, 2-acre lots are, consistent with the surrounding area that we're proposing. And again, they do conform to zoning. They have, building envelopes both with respect to conservation setbacks and just, zoning setbacks with underlying zoning.
So Matt, this covenant requires a public hearing because some of the covenants don't.
It does, yes.
It does, okay.
So do we want to schedule one?
Any in-ground oil tanks or any other environmental issues here, water source?
It's now public water. It would be public water. I don't believe there are any in-ground oil tanks. If there were, they would also be properly abandoned and addressed as part of any future development of the slot. So it obviously would, it would be under the scrutiny of conservation boards. We'd have to be respectful of that when we do any future development of the slot. And we're well aware of that.
But it is Suffolk County water here?
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that was part of the reason at the time also. There's covenants with the health department that need to be addressed as well for private well covenant. So I think in 1998, there was no public water here. So that was
It was a well.
with the size and the scope of the convent building and the conventional septic system plus a well. I think that was, why it was restricted. But now that there's public water, I think those concerns are certainly less.
Thank you.
Okay, Brian, I think you've heard. I think we will, when we're in action in the regular session, we'll.
So I don't have this on, Jackie, because the subdivision remains incomplete. I'm still waiting
Okay.
from Brian. He'll have to submit for the covenant amendment, but we can, I'm sure, either have it as 2 separate actions to be heard on the same night or notice them the same for the pre-application.
Fine, I think that's good.
I'll speak with
Okay.
Jackie on what's best.
Yeah.
All right. I'll connect with you like tomorrow or early next week, Matt, and we can discuss that. But perfect.
Okay, thank you. We're going to close out the work session and go into the afternoon session with Loaves and Fishes. Claire, that's you.
Thank you
Do we
very
have
much.
Claire? Thank you. There's Claire. Yeah. Hi, Claire.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Great. Sorry, technical difficulties.
Sorry,
again.
Claire, my fault.
No, that's not your fault. Um, so Loaves and Fishes, I think everybody's familiar with the project. If Eric Bregman is here, I'm not quite
Okay.
sure.
I will hunt him down.
He's in attendance.
I have him.
Great. So we've had this on a couple times, pre-submission, ZBA referral for some variances, and they have submitted a complete application. I'll share the screen and see if this works. See that, and so that's the aerial, the property on the corner there, and they've submitted the site plan, which I think at this point we're familiar with. So we have all the required information. Seeker has already been done with the project. So this would be to deem complete and schedule a public hearing. I have for June 10th,
June
which is the
10th.
next available meeting.
Okay. Any questions on this? We've seen it several times,
Yeah.
so,
Right, exactly.
I'll move it.
okay, move to deem it complete and schedule a public hearing for June 10th. That by motion by Dennis and second by, I can't-
Stop
by
sharing.
Zuccarelli. Zuccarelli is a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor. We've done that. Okay. Jackie, that's you, 69 Cypress Avenue.
Yes, give me 1 second. I'm just pulling up the document.
This is in-
And Charles, I believe Eric Pelletier
Okay.
might be in on the call, but he's aware. If he's not, he's aware of the discussion for today.
Okay. I don't see his name.
This is in Flanders, right? Yeah.
Yeah, this is a 2-lot subdivision in Flanders.
Yeah, I don't see him.
You don't see him? Okay. He was aware. He wasn't sure if he could attend, so that's fine.
So why don't you begin, Jackie?
Sure. Let me just, sorry, I was bringing up the documents. So this is a 2-lot subdivision in the hamlet of Flanders. See here. And this is the overall area. It's this long, skinny rectangular property right here. There is an existing house on it. This is a zoomed in aerial here as well. And this is 69 Cypress, so it has just enough square footage to comply with the zoning district and have 1 rear flag lot. This is the subdivision map. And I did discuss that there are items missing, which have been provided on the checklist. So I am recommending that it be deemed incomplete and the applicant is aware.
Incomplete.
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 Yep.
Okay. Motion to deem this incomplete
Motion.
by Glorian, second by Zuccarelli. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor. Becky, you've got 392 Mill Road in West
Yeah.
Hampton. That's an extension, right?
Yeah, this is the first 90-day extension. So they are actually just, they finalized their covenants and restrictions. They are working on the final comments with the common driveway, and I still have not yet received the final plat, but they're working on that as well. So this would extend it until August 16th, 2021.
Okay. A motion for that? Motion by Robin, second by Dennis, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor.
Thank you.
Anthony, you've got an extension, Darcy and Calderal.
Yep, just give me 1 second here. So this was just an extension on a lot line change on Newtown Road here between these 2 properties. It's an even exchange of land. They're stuck in the health department, so we're just looking to do a 90-day extension from May 23rd until August 21st.
August 21st, okay. Motion for the extension by Glorian, second by Craig. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor.
And number 6 is off the agenda.
Okay. Number 6 is off. Matthew, you have an extension?
I do. 56 Ridge Road. Charles, can you just let Martha Reichert in, please?
Yeah,
This is the ninth request. Are they going to give us an update?
Yeah, Martha's going to give you an update to where they
Okay,
stand.
thank you.
This is at 56 and 95 Sugarloaf Road. I'll show you guys an aerial, just so you're familiar.
Greetings, Martha. Can you give
Hi,
us your
everyone.
name
Nice to see
for the
you guys.
record?
Martha, they're just asking you to identify yourself for the record.
Oh, yes, sorry. Martha Reichert, for the applicant, Toomey Latham Shea, 33 West Second Street, Riverhead, New York.
Thank you. Matthew, you want to give an overview here?
Yeah, this is a land transfer. This portion where my cursor is on this property is going to this one, and then there's a small lawn area right here. Sorry about that, which is transferred to this property. The last I knew, they were at the health department and then working with a new surveyor and an engineer to get these plans finalized. It was taking some time. Martha might be able to speak a little bit better to that. I did get some revised plans submitted today. Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to review them yet, so I think we're on the road to completion here. But I'll let Martha give us an update.
Matthew, is any of this in the moratorium, any of this land?
It is not.
It is not.
All right, so I do have an explanation for the board. So this has been sort of remained in limbo with the health department. The health department, we thought we were good to go with the health department, and on March 3rd, they gave us a notice of incomplete requesting several different revisions. We did so, and the health department, that's the revised map that you now have that Matt got. Unfortunately, the engineer just went on vacation until next week. So we haven't been able to submit a signed revised map to the health department, but we've satisfied all of their requests for revisions. So at this point, once the engineer comes back from vacation, he'll sign the map, it'll go to the health department, and once they sign it, we'll be able to submit that signed copy for the board to sign.
So it was primarily an engineering issue?
It's been between the engineer and the surveyor and the health department, but really it took the health department a very long time to process this.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, Jackie, they discovered there was an open health department application on one of the lots, from I think the 80s. So they had to close out that.
Right.
They would take action on this.
It's had a complicated procedural history with the health department.
So you think this is going to be the last extension?
I've been assured by everybody that's been involved with this file over the years that this is it, that this is the final revised map. So I absolutely hope so. And so we, at least in this office, we all hope this is the final extension that we'll ever need on this one.
Okay.
This will take us from May 26th to August 24th of 2021 for number 9.
Okay, can I have a motion for the extension?
Motion.
Motion by Gloria and second by Craig. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Matthew, you then have 3 re-veg plans.
Yes, the first one we're going to look at is Bridgewood Lot 32. That's 26 Woodruff. It's a 23,285 square foot parcel in the Bridgewood subdivision in Bridgehampton, CR 40 zoning, aquifer, at 26 Woodruff. If the board recalls, this is the subdivision that actually has covenanted clearing restrictions that have never been amended. They're 11,000 square feet. As you can see on this survey, the owner of the property has exceeded that, so they're going to revegetate here, and on the back of the property. Fairly good re-veg plan, a lot of trees and understory, pretty standard. They're doing 6,100 square feet of revegetation on the property.
Oh,
This will have our new standard conditions as well, that they'll have a year to do it with one extension. They'll have to stake it all out with a fence prior to the issuance of any building permits. And that's pretty much it on that.
okay. Any questions? Motion to approve number 8 by Robin, second by Zuccarelli. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor. Number 9, Michael Held, lot 3, 451 Lumber Lane.
Yep, 451 Lumber Lane, as you can see, this is a flag lot. Looks can be deceiving from the aerial on this. It looks like there's a lot of good tree cover. Unfortunately, this property was devoid of a lot of understory. As the board is aware, you have to have both trees and bushes in order to comply with the code. So they're revegetating some area where there's good existing tree cover. I apologize, it's a hand-drawn plan, so it's a little difficult to see exactly what the species are. But there's a key on the top left, American holly, which is appropriate, some red oaks, high bush and low bush blueberry, Pennsylvania sedge, some pretty standard stuff. I had I went out and inspected, it's all appropriate.
What's the overall square footage? That 9,000?
9,000 over.
127.
Yep. I'm just going to change one of the conditions just slightly. Condition number 2 about the issuance of a building permit. This came up for a work done situation for a shed that's on the property that they had to move. I'm just going to add that if a building permit's issued, that's going to require additional landscaping that they put the fence in. This is really just to get a fence legalized. I don't want to, be overly burdensome for the on this.
Yes, it's also to get a shed that was put on the property. I did not represent the owner who bought this property. I was brought in when they got a notice of this shed, which is up in the corner. So we'd like to get this, obviously we're going to do the revegetation, but I want to get a building permit in for the shed right away.
Karen, can you identify yourself, please? For the
I'm
record?
Karen Pate Murphy. I'm the attorney for Mr. Logsdale, who is the owner of the property.
Thank you.
And that's all. I mean, obviously any new construction, any kind of, we require a fence, and also the landscaper designer is with us if you have any questions, but I really I want to get this in, and putting up a construction fence right now. The shed is already there. It should have gotten a permit. It didn't. It's not anywhere near where we're revegetating. Is that correct, Matt? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
kind of,
you
yeah,
should-
it's not near it. Okay, so that's all. I just wanted,
Okay.
to do that. So I
Thank you.
appreciate Matt changing that condition.
So Matt, you have a great re-veg plan you've approved.
Yep.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve the number 9, Michael Held re-veg? By
Motion.
Dennis, second by Dennis, motion by Dennis, second by Zuccarelli. All in favor? Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor. And then lastly,
Thank you.
thank you, Wicked
Aye.
Top Mac B, Lot 3.
It's a fairly small property.
Number 10.
Your number 10 as well, Karen?
No, I'm not. Sorry, I have to get off. Sorry.
Number 1030.
Take it if you want.
Yeah, 3692 Noyak Road, fairly small parcel, just under 9,000 square feet. They are overcleared in the R10 zoning district, Aquifer Protection Overlay District, WQI high priority area. This will just be around the edge. They're doing some renovations to the house. This came in from the building department also. On something like this, it's fairly straightforward. So we have their proposed list of species, which are all appropriate, 15 trees, and some good understory plants and grasses. They're allowed 75% on such a small property, so they're re-vegging just over 2,000 square feet. With our typical conditions for a re-veg that seem to be working out, getting people to finish.
To do it to comply, yeah. After they cut the trees down. I have a motion on this. Motion by Gloria, second by Zuccarelli. All in favor? Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor. Matthew Thayer's Hardware, number 11.
There's hardware, right? To
This
have
is a
for-
site plan, consider draft decision. This is a site plan review, right? Expedited site plan?
expedited site plan for, and this is for a basement at Thayer's Hardware. As you can see, the site plan's pretty basic. They are going to do these are both the existing buildings. They're going to be excavating a basement on this side for storage purposes associated with the hardware store.
Yep.
The basement plan, pretty standard. Not really too much to it. This is the original site plan that was approved in 1992. Sorry, this is the site plan 92 from when they did the addition. There used to just be one building. This is building 2. As part of that decision, there was some parking that was waived. That's part of the reason it's before this board, is because we're contemplating a parking waiver for the 2 additional spaces generated by the storage in the basement.
Mhm.
It's pretty straightforward. If you'd like me, I could go through the resolution. We have some comments from the engineer and fire marshal, and that's pretty much it.
Why don't you go to those?
Absolutely. This is a type 2 action. Like I said, this is for Thayer's Hardware, Village Business Zoning District, New York State Archaeologically Sensitive, 2434 Montauk Highway. This was deemed complete on March 11th, 2021. A public hearing was waived by the planning board and a 30-day written comment period was set. We didn't receive any written comments on this. Was referred to relevant departments and agencies. We did get some comments from the town engineer. He has no real requirements just because of the limited nature of this, nothing in terms of drainage. He's just asking that any part of this excavation not infringe on the town's parking lot, which is adjacent to this property, or undermined. And then that the applicant abide by all sediment and erosion control as part of the construction. So that's, a concrete washout area, silt fencing, what have you. The fire marshal's office did give us some comments also on May 6th. And they just asked that the work not impede any emergency vehicles, and that if, they did make comments about existing fire and life safety systems. If they change those, that they notify the Bridgehampton Fire Department, and they'll address additional fire concerns at the building department stage. This is the finding, the highlighted area is the finding for the parking waiver that's be considered by the board for the 2 additional spaces. Being that this is associated with an existing hardware store, I'm not sure that additional storage place is really adding more demand for the parking.
It's total storage, right? And
Total
there's
storage, no retail,
space.
this is just to store things that for the
Yeah.
hardware store.
Right.
So this would be for payment in lieu of parking, which by code now is $2,000 per space.
Yeah.
And then I do have the applicants here. I'm not sure if they have any questions.
I had only the one comment about after these trucks are loaded with the excavated dirt, to not exit onto
Montauk Highway, which I
Montauk Highway.
have that as a condition, Jackie.
Okay, all right. So go to the conditions then.
Sure.
Yeah, hi, I'm Janie Fitzgerald. I'm here for Dennis Boyle, who is the contractor for the Thayers.
Yeah.
I will just let you know, we have had a conversation with Mickey's Karting. Yes, they, they can accommodate that particular requirement and not exit onto Montauk Highway. The Thayers have also agreed to the fee for the parking spaces. They're fine with that. Additionally, they've asked actually for a copy of the affidavit so they could get moving on it. So I think everything is in order there.
Jamie, give us your name, please.
I'm sorry. It's Janie Fitzgerald is the last name. And I'm here for Dennis Boyle. He's unfortunately not able to make it today.
Okay, thank you.
I will go through the conditions. So changes to the plan: provide a key map of 100, 1 = 200 or greater.
Yes.
Provide a name and address of the owner of record. Show and note the existing cross-access easement filed as part of the 1992 site plan. I'll change that typo as well. Indicate area of existing basement area as well as proposed expansion on the site plan. Show and note all buildings and structures within 200 feet. Show and note the fire prevention. Clarify parking calculations to clearly indicate relief granted as part of 92 site plan. Provide spot elevations or topo is fine. Show and note location of all utilities on site, including the sanitary system, and depict the locations of the concrete washout area and provide a detail. General conditions: there shall be no demolition or construction, staging, and or carting of materials on Montauk Highway. All activity shall be conducted on the north side of the site. Compliance with all requirements of the town engineer, that's regarding erosion control. The applicant shall not infringe on the town parking lot nor undermine the town parcel. That also came from the engineer's comments for the below grade construction. All signage subject to planning board review and approval. Compliance with the requirements of the fire marshal. HVAC mechanicals shall be screened. No dusted on lighting. No additional lighting without planning board approval. All lighting shall be shielded and outdoor lighting shall be project downward and dark skies compliant. And then prior to signature, submission of payment in lieu of on-site parking, which is currently $2,000 per space. Notarized affidavit and 6 complete sets of plan for signature.
When is this project supposed to begin?
Dennis is going to wait till after the season. This
Smart.
Thank you.
Very smart.
It'll begin late September at this point, because no interest in disrupting any of the businesses that are there. including Thayers. You know, you don't want to disrupt business or impose additional trucks going in and out at this time of year.
Yeah, we don't want to increase the burden on any of our store owners. Thank you.
Exactly. So he'll wait until probably the end of September before beginning. And at that, even kind of just judging, you know, now the season seems to be going longer and longer. So they will definitely wait until it's no longer a burden. And I smile when I see no signage. Dennis James Boyling never puts a sign out anywhere. So no, he will not have any signs out there at all.
I might recommend that I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Jack.
I just want to say that parking lot is in pretty bad shape. The engineers might want to take some pictures of it before, so they don't blame the divots and the and the ruts, whatever, on Thayers, because it's already in bad shape.
Correct. Thank you for saying that. Yes, they have noticed it. Yes.
I have a little bit of concern about using that narrow entrance and exit to the parking lot on the north side. Has the construction company looked at that the trucks are going to be able to do that? I don't know what size, but when I've gone into that parking lot, I feel like I'm just about driving on top of that house that's on that corner.
No.
I've seen trucks get through, big trucks.
Dennis actually went and measured everything, all of the measurements. And he's going to try to keep, excuse me, and this is again typical of him, he is going to try to keep whatever activity goes in and out all kind of centered at the same time as much as possible. So if he's going to have, you know, 2 different large trucks come through, he's going to try to coordinate that so it all kind of happens the same morning or the same day so that it's not spread out and be a constant headache, you know, to that homeowner. I'm always well aware of them too, but yes, he's going to do his best to keep it as quiet as possible for that family.
Yeah, I just always feel guilty using that access to the parking lot, which I do so I can avoid Montauk Highway.
You all do, right? But I
do too.
Totally get it, yes.
Okay, any other questions? If not, we can have a motion to approve the motion by Gloria and second by Robin. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor. Thank you, Janie.
Thank you. Just one last thing, Matt, for you. Dan Weaver at Waldbridge Surveyors is doing the updates to the site plans with those that additional requested information. It should be to you, if not by the end of, well, tomorrow's the end of the week, early next week. He did promise. They've just been slammed.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Matt, you are Bridgehampton Road Races, Residence Lot 6.
Yes, this is a residential site plan, which is few and far between. We have Dick Watkins here who represents the applicant. Give you a brief idea of what's going on here. Let me get back to my aerial. So this is a site plan approval for lot 16 of Bridgehampton Road Races. When this subdivision was approved, Golf at the Bridge, site plan approval was required for I believe there's 21 residential lots on this. You know, to look at drainage, look at grading, look at clearing. That's what we're looking at on these. They're fairly large parcels, but there's some slopes involved. This is their site plan. You know, house located over here, driveway. There's actually a common driveway for these 2 lots. This shaded area was a former cul-de-sac. There was a lot line modification between 2 of these parcels. So this is where, you know, the utility easement actually is now. The actual property boundaries here. Pretty straightforward. You know, it was covenanted, as I said, for lots 1 through 21, site plan review for grading, erosion control, drainage, landscaping, compliance with clearing and fertilized dependent vegetation, siting of the driveway. This was received back on March 31st. They're allowed 35% clearing for each of these lots. I know they're large lots, but it's, you know, a little bit more clearing that was granted as part of the approval. And then in 2012, the fertilized vegetation was actually restored to these property by resolution with the planning board to 15%. We did refer this to the town engineer, and he did give us comments back. You know, to 1, construct a common driveway in accordance with the approved common driveway plan prepared by the Rayner Group dated 5/20/2013. It is on file with the engineering department. and was approved by the assistant town engineer in 2013. A speedies general permit will be required, as well as a SWIP, an engineering review fee of $4,800 pre-construction meeting. And the applicant will also be required to submit a special assessment district covenant prior to the issuance of a CO. Since this is approved subdivision with road review requirements will not be required covenant. Other than that, it's pretty basic. I've done one of these before. I think it was in 2018. I know Anthony's done one as well. So these are just the basic conditions for, the driveway, the clearing, the grading.
Can I ask a question, Matthew?
Absolutely.
The engineering department approved it in 2013, and they're going with that same approval. There are no changes.
No, that's for the common driveway. Yeah, nothing's really changed on site. It's remained vacant since then. He's the new assistant town engineer has reviewed the previously approved plan, and he's happy with it.
And how many houses have gone in up there out of the 21?
There's two or three that have
Two.
been.
Is this the third or the second?
I think this is the third that's been built. Jake might be able to speak more than that. This is the third. Thank you. Jake Watkins, who represents the applicant here. If the board has no questions, I can go through the conditions.
Can I just ask one question,
Sure.
following up on what Jackie asked?
Yeah.
Does the engineer have to issue a report saying that the initial report has been reviewed by him, or something to say that it's being redated as of now? Just so that there's no question that at some time some requirement has changed and we missed looking at that requirement being changed?
Or we're relying on previous information that's
Yes, I mean,
8 years old, right?
Yeah.
I would just like some kind of notation.
Yeah, he's looked at the entire project. The old plan references only the common driveway. He's comfortable with the rest of the project. I mean, he's reviewed it. I think that's clear in his comments. I can ask for further, some kind of note that he's.
Yeah, I think that would be good. I agree. Just add that kind of comment that it's been re-reviewed and deemed
I have
to
to
be okay.
give his okay prior to signature anyway, to make sure all his conditions have been met. So I think that kind of.
You know what happens, Matt? Sometimes a couple of years down the line, somebody pulls these documents. They say, what were you thinking? What did we look at that? Didn't we look at that? I'm just thinking, for a couple of years from now, that it is confirmed that we did look at it. We were concerned about it. The engineer did look at it, and he reconfirmed that everything is fine.
Okay.
I don't think that's a problem from ownership side.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't be. It's just so that we have it clear for posterity.
A record, yeah.
Matt, maybe you could just make a whereas with a finding that it's been reviewed.
Yeah,
So that way they know.
yeah, for the common driveway. Yeah, that's fine.
Mhm. Yeah.
I can do that.
Okay, do you want to go through the conditions?
I certainly can. So general conditions, construction of the common driveway in accordance with that approved plan from 2013, speedies permit, a SWIP, engineering review fee of $4,800, a pre-construction meeting with engineering. To the second page, and then prior to signature, file the notarized affidavit for site plan approval, 6 complete sets of plans for signature. And then prior to CO was filing of the special assessment district covenant per the recommendations of the town engineer's office to be reviewed by the town attorney. And that's for the WIP.
Any other questions? Okay, a motion to accept this. It's not a considered draft decision. It's site plan approval, or what is it? Not site.
Yeah, it's an approval. Yep. To adapt.
Approval of a site plan, motion by Robin, second by Dennis, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor. Thank you. Thank you, Jake.
Thanks, Jake.
Thank you.
Claire, you've got the Grabeski APDD Hampton Bays District.
I do. Can you hear me?
Your
Do you have
reverb.
something else open? Do you have a phone?
Yeah. I think it's good now, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. So for the Hampton Business District, I think you're letting everybody in. Guy, anybody else besides Greg and Kristen? Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay. And we went through this last meeting. And so we went through the staff reports. And since then, we have received the feedback from the departments, Suffolk County Department of Planning, and they have said it was local jurisdiction. So that was the only referral we were waiting for. So I prepared a resolution for approval. The only other thing is that Kathleen rightly noted that we had for the 7 conditions that you've been reviewing this entire time with traffic, 6 had an open definition to be clarified. So I got on the phone with Ray today, and he provided some language which I'd like to share with you. Just adding, clarifying us the definition for steady states, and also clarifying that you'd want a scope for the traffic assessments prior to them doing the work once they reach that steady state for a period of a year. That's what you're holding the bond for. So let me share the screen. And here's the language. So you can see that that was the original language, and he's put in this first part is the defined steady state operation has been achieved. Steady state operation is that associated with the maximum usage of the facility by both employee and delivery vehicles. So he's gotten that from his documents related to that use or definition. And then here it says the said traffic assessment in accordance with the scope to be provided by the applicant for planning board approval shall include, and that's the language we've had all along. So that's the clarification. I just gave it to the applicant to look at, so I'm not quite sure if they have any questions related to that.
Yeah, but just one question. Oh, can you put?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, do you want to put it back? Can you put it back up? I just have one.
Sure, absolutely.
I mean, instead of using the term maximum usage, maybe it should be, average usage, because that's where steady state operation is associated with the average usage of the facility.
Right. Yeah, that would make sense. I don't think I have a problem with that.
2 very different meanings.
Right.
Well, maximum is hard to.
It's full usage, right? It's the full.
Yeah, but the average full, it's a steady state when we're in full operation. When we've reached our average usage, that's when you really want to do your study. Defining the maximum usage, I don't know what we're going to get to that. That's
yeah, and I think we're accommodating the peak holiday season for the max usage. Right. That word, I'd be comfortable with that. Obviously, if there's a huge problem, we can bring it back. If Ray has a huge problem, we can bring it back for clarification, obviously, the next meeting. But I don't think.
Well, we don't really want to do that.
Yeah,
no, but if there was a problem, I don't think there would be, because I understand what you're saying.
I think average.
When you read the states,
it's really it's up to the board, how you want to do it. But I just thought the average would be something we would achieve sooner.
Yeah.
Maximum is kind of putting a pinnacle on it.
Long term, longer than the year, probably.
Yeah.
I think average is much better because it brings it back before it gets to maximum.
1 year.
It's already been bad. It could have been bad at the average. I think that's very, very good.
I think so too. I do too.
Okay.
Right, but I don't want to have to come back to another meeting.
I know you don't.
No, so let's change it to average if the board's agreeable. At your request, change it to average. And obviously, if Ray's like, no, it's a definition, we need this, then we'll obviously back here for discussion. So, with Ray's input.
If he objects to it, how about this? If he objects to it, we'll just change it. Is that okay?
That's good. So it's okay. That sounds good.
All right.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's the resolution that was in the packet. That'll be that change to it. So do you want to briefly go through it? I won't, anything we've reviewed before, I'll skip over. So I'll just summarize. Oops. Too fast. So, so this is the application for the 800,000 square feet building, warehouse, associated parking. This is the SECRA with the traffic review that you made. And these are the 7 covenanted items with the change to 6 per that language I just showed you. So we'll add that in there. And this is just the staff report and the referrals. And then the conditions that I've had as changes to the landscape plan is to note the correct access onto Collins Way. The site plan shows it correctly, but the landscape plan just needs to be updated. Note shall be placed on the plan stating that the berm planting shall be inspected at the completion of the project to ensure an effective screen to match the completed berm on the south. That's what we did with the other berm, you know, after the second building was done. We took a look, made sure that it was being completed and it was being an effective screen. So changes the building elevations, just to note that it's a sign to be up. Elevations should be signature shall depict all lighting, and a note regarding the screening of all rooftop equipments. And then these are the town engineer requirements. And the declaration of covenants. Again, this is the 7 items with the changes to the language for number 6 there. And the covenants. Here, Kathleen, do you want to weigh in on this? Do you want any language that the county shall also sign the covenants?
Yes, and I did speak with Guy earlier, and he is amenable to having the county as a signatory on that document, and I do appreciate that.
Okay, so I'll just put some language that the county will be a signatory on the documents. We had talked about that several times, so I'll go back. And then the no idling plan, she had just sent me a new plan on that, so I'll take a look at that. I'm gonna have it left to the planning staff, if that's okay with the planning board, or do you want to look at that idling plan, the signage plan?
Is it
Does the
just a
board feel
sign?
strongly?
Just a sign?
A bunch of signs around the site, just to make sure that the trucks that are doing deliveries know that they shouldn't be idling while they're waiting.
I think the staff can do that. Does everybody agree? Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do that. And then it's a typical affidavit, 10 sets of plans, the conditions for the irrigation system prior to building permit, and then the inspections completed, certification, and then this is the performance bond related to the traffic that we've talked about. And then this is the maintenance bond from the landscape architect regarding the plantings and the structural soil. And then the berm plantings, which I mentioned, to just make sure it's an effective screen, and all parking striped, and the maintenance bond at the completion of the project.
Do we have a condition here, Claire, about some kind of screening up while it's being excavated and built? I mean, some kind of fencing so that the debris is not blowing all over the road. We talked about that.
Yeah, we did talk about it, and I called the town engineer immediately after, and that is all installed at this time.
Okay.
And that is all part of the SWIP too. So while he's doing his inspections, he's making sure that's in place.
Great.
Okay.
Any questions from either side? We're not going to see you again for a while. I think you have to come every other week.
I'm going to miss coming.
As a frequent flyer.
Be grateful it's Zoom.
Yeah. So if there are no questions, a motion to approve by Dennis, second by Robin, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Good luck with the project.
Appreciate your
Sure,
work.
it'll be.
A lot of hard work on Claire's part.
Yeah.
Very-
Everybody's part, yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Claire, you're moving right on to the bridge, staff housing.
Yep. Jake Watkins is back.
Jake is
This
here
is-
again, okay.
Mm-hmm. So in this case, we were awaiting comments from both the fire marshal and the town engineer, and I received the fire marshal comments on this. I'm sorry, scratch that. I've received the town engineer comments on the project, which are a little extensive. However, they are recommending approval for the project. It's allowing it to go forward. I don't have the fire marshal comments, but we would get them in any case related to the building department. So I'm not quite sure if the board is amenable going forward without those comments and have it as a condition. I just wanted to go for, say that right now before we started to review this. Are you comfortable with that?
Well, since this is something we've not seen before with the shipping containers, is there any rules about sprinklers or, anything? So stuff that might be something I would want to hear from somebody who knows what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Good point.
I don't know if Jake can speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, so this is actually an unusual case where the shipping containers make it more egress accessible because it's such a short distance to the exterior conditions. And just like any other residential condition, it is dependent on the building official to give final determination on it.
I'm not quite sure I understand that. So what you're saying, Claire, is either we wait for the fire marshal's approval to complete this, or what, condition it upon the fire?
Condition it. Yeah, usually, I mean, you've seen their comments before. They're sometimes talk about access to a site, and obviously this is an existing access, though they're changing it. And then they say compliance with, the building codes. Those are their typical requirements, and I don't think access is a problem here, because it's not like it's a tight, flag lot or something like that. So I don't foresee something that would come up with their comments that would change the whole project. It's just a timing thing because they're just, usually they respond within 30 days and it's been 45. So technically we could proceed, by code. We have enough time, but it is nice to get their comments. It's something we typically try to get prior to any decision on the project. But again, I think in this case, you're not going to get something substantial, but we'll get it before signature, 100%.
Okay, as long as it's before signature.
You
And
feel
I
comfortable
hear
with that?
work has already started, Jake, before engineering.
Yes, and I've spoken with Tom in engineering, and with ownership, all work is halted, and the site has been given a stop work order, so there's no work currently going on the site.
Okay, can we hear some of the engineering or some of their concerns, Claire?
Yeah, do you want to, I can go over it with the, I have it in the staff report, so I'll go back to sharing. So this is the updated version. So May 10th, I'm sorry, 12th, state of the limit of soil disturbance and the changes to the plans for the Bennett's.
Well, let's go back to 2. The plans don't coordinate. The Barilski plans don't match the DB Bennett plans.
Yeah, that's the engineer plans, this one.
Jake?
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, there's an island that's in front of the maintenance building that was shown on Bennett's plan for additional drainage considerations. That's not currently shown on Barilski's plan, and that will be updated. And I've spoken with Tom about that. I'm sorry for the background noise.
Okay, Claire.
Okay, and so this is the changes for the Bennett plan, which is the engineering plan, elevations for the proposed access walkway, the grading, the access drive. So it's 23 feet, needs to be 24. So that's a small matter. The piping for the dry wells, catch basin, method of access for the parking area, for the staff housing, the units to ADA accessible. I guess there's one unit. I don't know, Jake, do you know about this? One of the units are handicap accessible?
Yeah, I spoke with Tom about this as well. We are currently showing a handicap ramp for the accessible unit. Tom didn't see that at first, but it's going to be addressed with the resubmittal and his final approval.
Okay, good. And then this is the coefficients for the gravel and the asphalt, wheel stops, and the speedies. These are typical ones: the concrete curb, retaining wall detail, and the speedies and SWIP permit and the pre-construction meeting. So those are the comments for that. And we also did receive the Department of Planning, and there was a matter of local termination on that. So it's obviously here. I'll go back to
Any other departments that are missing with
just
report?
the fire marshal in this case.
We're
And so
up-
again,
I don't know why I'm feeling so uncomfortable that the fire marshal has not come in on this.
Jake, have you spoken? Maybe has Jake spoken with him?
No, I haven't. And we've just left it up to the typical process in that regard. Just because we don't expect anything to come of it. It seems like a very straightforward review. Like I said, these are in terms of egress for fire considerations. I think that this would be a slam dunk. You have to literally walk 10 feet to get to an exterior door. And in terms of access, I mean, for any kind of fire access, it's the same as it always has been. So I don't know why it would be a concern. Our office certainly isn't concerned. And if there are any conditions, we're certainly able to address anything that comes up.
Two questions. Trucks are able to turn, fire trucks would be able to turn. There's nothing traffic pattern wise, and water access is sufficient.
Yeah, the point that there's currently a workers' housing building on that same site. All of that was reviewed, approved by the fire marshal previously in 2013 when it went forward the first time. So again, I mean, since this is purely just a extension of what's currently there, or a displacement of what's currently there, we don't see any issues with it at all.
What are the materials of the units? Are they metal and something else?
Yeah, they're metal boxes. They have a metal roof, and they'll have insulation, wallboard on the inside, and bathrooms now too.
Or is that a normal fire rating?
Yep, typical Type X gypsum board. Nothing out of the ordinary you get in any standard unit. I guess you could say it's actually rated for a better fire rating because of the fact it has metal siding and doesn't have any wood studs incorporated, which is Type 5, which is what the current workers' housing is.
Jake, any windows per unit?
Yeah, we're displacing, they're all double units. And there's a large door, double panel door on each side of the unit. So it's a 20 by 40 foot space, 16 by 40 foot space. And so there's a operable unit on the front and the back.
So is it 2 points of egress per unit?
2 points for every single unit. Yep.
Okay. Well, that makes me feel a little better. Thank you.
Good.
Dennis, what do you think?
Oh, I like the architecture from the get-go.
But the fire marshal, I mean, the fact that we don't have the fire marshal right on approval. You think it's sufficient to make it conditional?
Yeah, you could. I mean, it's really the applicant is more at risk because he's getting the open-ended approval. So if the applicant is comfortable,
Yeah, again, we don't see an issue with it. I've tried to state in the past how we're trying that the schedule of this is important, and we've pushed to have this expedited, and we are at risk. Our office doesn't see an issue with it.
Is there any effort, Claire, that the applicant can make to get the fire marshal there in addition to you?
Oh, I think we'll be successful in the next 2 weeks before signature of the plans on the projects. I think we would be successful. It's just a timing thing. I usually follow up with an email and there's a response in a couple of days, but I think they may be moving offices, and that may be just a little, a technical issue that way, that they just are a little bit behind on their referrals. But in any case, I'm sure I'll get in touch with the fire marshal in the next couple days to shake this out. Okay.
Lauren, you all right with that?
Well, as long as the from what I heard, the building code will be appropriate. And that was really, I was thinking more the internals, that it was a new construction style as opposed to the egress. But I think we've heard both. So I'm okay.
So when does this stop work order get lifted?
Once a building permit is issued.
Okay.
And that's after the fire marshal.
Fire marshal.
There will be no building permit with a fire marshal,
Okay,
100%.
Okay, good. All right.
I'm
Good
comfortable.
application.
I'm comfortable. Thank you. Thank you, Jake.
Okay, so I'll go back to the conditional approval. I had reviewed some of the conditions there. So I'll skip. This is the latest version. So I have left indicate the striping of the existing parking lot. Any comments of the fire marshal should be addressed. Any comments from the town engineer should be addressed. I just left that in there because there were so many comments from him that I just want to make sure I got them all. So these are the comments that we had just reviewed. And then this is the one thing, the landscape plan. They are reclaiming a driveway, which it is in the aquifer. So we want to make sure there's an understory and overstory. And Matt's already given me a list that I forwarded to the planning, the applicants. So they're going to be a spacing and size for planting material. Do you want to review that, or you want to have Matt obviously is capable of reviewing that? Do you want a staff to do that prior to signature? That'd be a question.
I think Matt can do it. He's been up there.
He's the tree person.
He's
is.
been doing all of the re-veg plans, and so he
Yeah,
knows.
so I think that's a good thing. We'll keep that in-house there. And then just the LED lights to be 3,000 K, color of the roof and doors, and then general conditions. Oh, and I just put in here that they should have shower and bathroom facilities for the 8 units, which was an issue we had brought up. Health department approval if required, fire district and fire marshal requirements, and then HVAC systems to be screened. This is our typical conditions: no dusted on lighting fixtures, lighting, 3,000 K.
E&F the same thing, just said differently?
Which one?
E&F, about the lighting.
No, E is dusted on and lighting fixtures are specific lights. So that's the one we're prohibiting in site plans, commercial site plans. Outdoor lighting is our typical project downward light sources. This would cover all types of light. This is a specific lighting fixture that's prohibited.
Thank you.
And the Suffolk County Water Authority, I mean, the health department is signed off on this.
If required, yes. So that would be a determination from the building department if they were required to have it. Okay. And then no public address system, speedies requirement, pre-construction meeting for the town engineer. Because they've started work, they double their fees. And so that they have to pay the fee prior to signature. They'd have the SWIP requirements, engineering fees, affidavit, 6 sets of plans, an as-built survey indicating the limit of clearing for natural vegetation for the entire property. This is actually a requirement every 5 years for the golf course as it is, but we're just going to have one at the end of this project, and then a maintenance bond.
And I was going to ask something. Oh, yes. Is there any restriction on year-round living in these? Are we saying that these are seasonal work homes, workspaces with starting in here and ending there?
Talked about.
I thought you did say that, right?
We need to get some kind of a whereas and condition in it.
Yeah, we had a long
What dates, Jake, are you looking at for these to be functional?
It's
May through October?
yeah, beginning of May to October. Yeah.
All right, so May
So May
1 to
1st.
October 31st?
Okay. I'll put a reference in the staff report and a general condition. Is that good?
Yes, please. Whose dog?
Stop me. I'm quieting down. I'm moving.
Okay.
All right.
That's it.
Okay, so with those changes, conditions, and getting the fire marshal in before building certificate, can I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Dennis, second by Craig, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes. Okay, so we had, and nays, no nays, so we have 6 in favor.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Jake, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so the next one is Bridge Petroleum. So you had last seen this back in February, and you had asked the applicant to, I just want to bring up the aerial. I think the applicant's representative, Joe Intraveria, is here.
Here.
Hi, Joe.
Hi.
So I'm
How are you?
good. So at the last meeting, you had asked for additional information on the size. This is for propane tanks. So I'll share the screen. This is the gas station in East Quogue on the corner of Walker and Montauk Highway. And of course, it's upside down. So this is, originally it was proposed here. Oh, I'm sorry. Originally it was here. The, I don't know if I can zoom in here.
Turn around, Claire, can you?
Yeah, it's easier if I'm this way. So it's here, and you had asked for the dimensions. So it's 89 inches by 30 inches wide, and here are the dimensions here. Well, I don't know why I can't.
There you go. No.
Let's take for you.
There you go. So that's the dimensions you had asked for. And then in that case, the dumpster was located in this area, and they have relocated it to this area, which was consistent with that pre-submission report that you had done for the additional convenience store on the property. So that pulls it away from this residential use here. And then the other thing is that you had mentioned that the 8-foot wooden fence, there was a couple different fences here, and they're proposing to take this all out and put a 6-foot stockade fence in this location. So it's a consistent fence that will block any of the activity in this area, the existing activity. So those are the 3 items.
And are we getting bollards in front of these propane tanks?
Yep, and they are shown on this plan. See the concrete bollards? Yeah.
Oh, yes, 6 steel. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So this would be expedited approval to approve, and of course now it's backwards.
That's funny. It turned upside down.
Because I changed the view. Yeah.
Clockwise. Counter.
Counterclockwise. I used to be better at this.
There you go.
So here's the resolution for expedited review. And then they're going to replace the 6-foot stockade fence. So that's the conditions. Stockade fencing around the refuse area, removal of the existing fences to the south along the rear property line, replaced with 6-foot rear and notes the date of the modification of the plan. Fire marshal approval, prior to issuance of building permit, affidavit, and 6 sets of plans. So I'm recommending approval.
Okay. Any questions? If not, a motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by Gloria and second by Dennis, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Joe. Any
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, great.
911 Flanders, that's Anthony.
Give me a second.
And who is here for that, Anthony?
Anthony Curcio is here, and I'm not sure if anybody else is. So the board is obviously familiar. We have a pre-submission.
Well, let's get him in.
Oh, okay.
Charles, do you see Anthony? Is it Percio?
Keith Brown. And
Guess who has the
Jefferson.
key?
We have a double audio.
Undo that. There you are. You should. You can adjust the screen, but that's a good view.
Charles?
Yes.
Can everyone hear me okay?
We hear you. Oh, there you are. Keith Brown? Is that correct? And
Oh, I guess, yeah, I guess I spoke to Anthony, but Keith Brown as well, I guess.
I just lost the
Anthony
visual.
Churchill is my associate, and you let Jefferson Murphy in too?
Huh.
He's in already.
Great.
Are
I've
they all in,
lost-
Jackie? Can I go?
You go ahead. I've lost to the Zoom. I have to go out and come back in again.
Oh, we'll wait.
We can see you, Jackie.
Okay, there we are. All right.
Okay, good.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay. All right. So this was the pre-submission application we got for a proposed, this is the property at the traffic circle, Flanders Road and Riverlay. It's in the Highway Business Zoning District, the Riverside Overlay District, the Aquifer Protection Overlay District, and the New York State Archaeological Sensitive Area. The property previously was used as a gas station and service station, but has been not in operation for a number of years right now. The applicant is proposing a new gas station with 6 pumps and a 3,024 square foot 7-Eleven convenience store and associated parking. Just a reminder to the board, here's the property. Some parking in the front. We have the canopy with the fuel stations and then the convenience store in the back. We've looked at this. We had a presentation. We had a pre-submission conference. So right now we're just at the point to adopt the pre-submission conference report. Just as a reminder, there's no referrals during a pre-submission conference, so there aren't any agency comments at this point. But it's really based on staff review, planning review, and any comments we receive from the public. Here is, I'll go through the report. I already explained the property and the zoning. The first page here, going on to the second page, basically describes the project and the site location. As I said, it's in the Riverside Overlay District, Zone RO1. Which has the highest density standards in that zoning, in that overlay district. As we know right now, there is no sewers, and much of the implementation of that overlay district will occur at such time as the sewers are available. So just to be clear, we are reviewing this project for compliance with the Highway Business Zoning District, the underlying zoning, while we are still looking at obviously the design standards in the RO1 zone. Just to be clear, it's being reviewed under highway business. The report is based on the information submitted by the applicant, the elevations, the site plan, and the traffic study. We had a pre-submission conference on March 25th, which was closed with a 30-day written comment period, and we received considerable public comment in opposition to the project. And the concerns are summarized: general traffic impact concerns, inconsistency with the Riverhead Revitalization Action Plan in terms of pedestrian-friendly design features and in terms of uses. Convenience store is not a permitted use in the highway business zoning district. The use is not desirable for the community. The project is not environmentally focused. The development is excessive for the site, i.e. too many pump stations, too large a convenience store. The project doesn't address the, quote, food desert concerns of the Flanders Riverside area. And the project is auto-centered and not appropriate, given its location at the traffic circle. So those is a summary, and obviously all the opposition letters are in the file. So some of the preliminary issues that I've identified: number one, this project requires a number of variances from the ZBA. The first being a determination that the 3,024 square foot 7-Eleven convenience store qualifies as an accessory use. B, relief to allow two principal uses on a 39,567 square foot property. Under the code, a special exception standard requires 40,000 square feet for fuel station use, and 20,000 square feet for all other uses other than office uses, for a total of 60,000 square feet. I will concede that given the property's 39,567 and already had a fuel station use on there, they wouldn't need the 40,000 square feet, but they would need the 20,000 square feet for a second principal use, if in fact the convenience store was deemed to be a second principal use. So the total actually would be 59,567. They also need relief, to allow the proposed building to be located 10 feet from the rear property line where 50 feet is required. They're asking for relief to allow a dumpster location to be 14.2 feet from the street where 100 feet is required. Relief to allow the proposed canopy to be located 30.6 feet from the street where 100 feet is required. Relief to allow the fuel dispenser to be located 39.8 feet from Flanders Road where 50 feet is the minimum required. Relief to allow the fuel dispenser to be located 49.1 feet from Riverlay Avenue where 50 feet is required. Relief to allow 30 parking spaces where 36 is the minimum required. And relief to allow 3 canopy signs where such signage is not permitted. So that's the relief they need. So that was the first comment in the report. The second comment, that the planning board would not support any zoning relief at this time until such time as the issues have been adequately addressed. The third point talks about the use, and I just want to be very clear about this right from the get-go, so there's no misunderstanding. The use, the determination as whether or not this is accessory lies squarely with the Zoning Board of Appeals. The Planning Board has no say in whether this is actually a principal or accessory use. That determination is made by the Zoning Board of Appeals and the ZBA only, and within the legal parameters that they're allowed to do so. So I just want to be very clear about that, so the tenor of my report is understood. Nevertheless, the Planning Board can certainly provide their opinions and their comments. So the first comment relating to use is about a prior ZBA decision. Back in 2010, there was a proposed 7-Eleven convenience store on County Route 39, which is in the Highway Business Zoning District, within the Sleepy Shopping Center there. And the chief building inspector at the time classified that use as a grocery store, which is not permitted in the Highway Business Zoning District, and that determination was upheld by the Zoning Board of Appeals, and would thus require a use variance. So that decision came down in 2010. The second point really talks about the size of the building. At 3,000 square feet, still seems to be too large based on other projects that have been reviewed and approved by both the ZBA and the Planning Board. Recently, for example, which I believe the applicants here represented this application, the Bola Market in Hampton Bays with the service station was proposed at 2,000 square feet, which the planning board at the time said that they believed was too large to be a accessory use, and the size of the building was reduced to 1,200 square feet and was ultimately approved by the ZBA. So it seems that a 3,000 square foot 7-Eleven, as is proposed, may be a principal use. But of course, the ZBA will have to make that decision. The addition of a gas station in and of itself doesn't change that. I just point out that all other 7-Eleven stores within the town operate as standalone businesses without fuel stations. Accessory uses are supposed to be less significant in any number of ways. As I say here, floor area, economic importance, number of customers, visitors, number of employees, etc. Again, this will be made by the ZBA, but we pointed out nevertheless. A 7-Eleven convenience store is a destination use that has the potential to generate significant traffic and or to have an impact on the already challenging traffic conditions around the traffic. Points, the plan, this would seem to be a principal use. Number 4, the project is an unlisted action. And what we would recommend if the project moves forward is that we would do a coordinated review with all involved agencies, and the planning board would ultimately like to be lead agency for this project. Excuse me. And with respect to the traffic assessment that was submitted by the applicant, we note that this is not the time that we do a full-blown environmental assessment, and that'll be done at the time of a formal application. And so we'll review it or any revisions to this report then, and it may require review by a traffic consultant on behalf of the planning board. But nevertheless, a few points about the traffic. Number 1, the manual traffic counts they indicated were taken in October of 2020 during the COVID pandemic and then adjusted accordingly. But the reality is a comprehensive traffic impact analysis is needed. And it must include traffic counts taken during peak summer season and during summer travel, during peak travel times. The traffic situation in the town is well understood, and the Flanders Road area is no exception anymore. We know that the traffic is snaking through all the roads in town, so we need proper traffic counts.
Anthony,
sure.
On traffic. It should also consider the other development that is going on that traffic circle that isn't open yet, but has already been approved and is going to be open. I'm thinking of the Peconic Paddler and such. I don't know. So we should be looking at what the projected traffic is going to be added by that, and then looking at the numbers of what this is going to do.
Noted. I'll add that.
Thank you.
Okay. Second point, the traffic impact analysis requires a more comprehensive parking access and circulation analysis, given the site is located at the traffic circle, and including use of the site by large landscaping and construction trucks, as well as delivery trucks. Just looking at the 7-Eleven here in the village, you find a lot of delivery trucks park on the side roads, on the front or on the sides because they can't get in. We don't have such an option at the traffic circle. So I think that a proper circulation analysis is needed. And the third point about the parking analysis, they used it, they said, based on numbers from a 7-Eleven on Main Road in Southold, but I don't think that that's appropriate. It's geographic location on the North Fork. It just is not, the comparison doesn't make sense. The year-round and the daily commuting populations are just significantly higher in Southampton than they are in Southold. So, and that one that they use doesn't have a fuel station. So those are just some of the other points on top of the one that Robin mentioned. And obviously a more detailed review will occur during the proper SEQA review. The fifth point talks about the environmental conditions of the site. Maybe one was done already, I don't know. But an environmental audit or an assessment should be done and evaluated during SEQA because of the site's previous use as a gas station and a service station. Any information pertaining to potential subsurface contamination or any of the associated issues need to be evaluated. So the applicant should provide that information as well. Maybe they have one already, I'm not really sure. 6, the project is located within the Riverside Overlay District, and therefore we're reviewing it for some of the design standards. Where I say on the bottom, adherence to the overall intent of the RO1 district is still warranted. It really should be recommended, actually. It says recommended. Again, the applicant hasn't submitted an application to implement the overlay district. We're not reviewing it as if it was a project necessarily that's implementing the overlay district. So I just want to be very clear about that, but we are looking at some of the design standards, as many of these design standards, as I say in the first point here, are applicable really to any site plan. So, and the first point about the inconsistency with the RO1 just really talks about the automotive centered uses that are proposed for the site, and that really sort of lack the pedestrian scale and orientation that we're anticipating for the area. And then the second point really talks about the use as previously classified by the chief building inspector. So I'm going to clarify that a little bit in here, because I think it's a little unclear. 7,
I'm sorry, I'm just, before I forget, because we're in that section where you are right now in 6B. If I remember some of the testimony or some of the discussion that was had at one of the preliminary meetings was the discussion by the 7-Eleven people that they were making this, and one of the advantages was the amount of fresh food and food services that they were going to be bringing to the community. So this question of whether this is really a grocery store or not, I think you have to go back to what their original scope it was of their project. So when you're clarifying that 6B, I think you ought to take a look, Anthony, at the notes from one of the earlier presentations they made.
Okay, I certainly will do that, Robin. Thank you.
Thank you.
The 7th point talks about the dumpster 14.2 feet from Flanders Road. I will say for the record, the applicant did say at the pre-submission conference that they are going to revise that as part of any future submission. But based on the plan submitted, it's shown at 14.2 feet. That's a no-no. The dumpster is not going to be a prominent feature on the road. It's got to be closer to the building. The planning board doesn't approve dumpsters on the road, so that's got to be changed. The parking requirement is 36 spaces. They're proposing 30 and asking for relief for 6 spaces, which at this point, I wouldn't recommend any support for that. A 7-Eleven generates a lot of parking, and people are constantly in and out. Parking spaces are often full. So I think that asking for relief, we got to question that a little bit. Number 9, the architectural style of the building. Again, it'll be referred to the Architectural Review Board, and we'll get comments from them at the time. But based on the elevations, it's still somewhat franchise in style, and we prefer much more residential style with more natural materials, very similar to the building that was done for the 7-Eleven on the corner of Flanders and Cypress. Regardless of what the building size is going to be and what the use is going to be, it should be more with natural materials. 10, the canopy and the parking in the front is generally contrary to planning standards, if possible. And I don't know if it can be engineered, but we should look at possible alternatives. Whether the accessory convenience store could be located in the front with the parking and the canopy located to the sides and rear. Maybe it can, maybe it can't, but we should certainly examine that. The design of the canopy, we prefer pitched roof on the canopy, and we prefer it to be physically connected to the building as a matter of a design principle. Number 12, the canopy signs are not permitted under the town code. They're asking for 3 of them. I stay in here. Not only is the canopy signage undesirable, we don't approve site plans with 5 or 6 advertisement signs saying that it's a 7-Eleven or a mobile gas station or whatever the case may be. There's a sign in the corner and a sign on the wall, and 3 canopy signs are not necessary. 1 canopy sign isn't necessary. So that's point 12. Number 13, in the Highway Business Zoning District, gas filling stations are special exception and subject to the special exception standards, both general and specific. A couple of notable issues. Number 1, the plot area is sufficient, appropriate, and adequate for the use and the reasonable anticipated operation and expansion thereof. Given all the relief that's being sought by the applicant for this project, as well as the potential traffic concerns, and the current inability to meet the minimum parking requirements, this standard could be an issue. So we're going to have to look at that closely. Similar about the access facilities and the estimated traffic from public streets. Again, when we look at a more comprehensive review of the traffic impact analysis, this could be an issue that we need to address. And again, the lot area requirement of 40,000 square feet for the gas station. Of course, the existing gas station use was at 39,000 and change. So like I said, I submit that I could correct that, but that the town code requires 20,000 square feet for a second principal use if this convenience store is deemed to be a principal use. I'm sorry.
If I may just interrupt you here. Sure. The idea of whether the original station was abandoned, and if that was the case, then this is a new gas station application, and then it has to abide by the standards in A, B, and C. Am I interpreting that correctly?
I have to look at it a little more closely, but yes, I think that what you say is accurate. But I'd have to look at that as it relates to the lot size a little more, Glorian, to be quite honest. So I'm going to defer, probably to Kathleen and maybe even the building inspector a little bit to confirm that. But your point is I understand exactly what you're saying, so I'm going to look at that for you.
Anthony?
Yes.
I have a question and a comment that probably fits in, I think, with maybe 13B.
Okay.
This facility. During the presentation, the applicant said that that they had gotten the okay from Suffolk County DPW and the New York State DOT regarding egress and access. And if that's so, we require copies of those letters and approvals.
Okay.
I think that's the right place to put it, right?
Sure, absolutely. Good. I noted that, Jackie.
Okay.
Number 14, just the last 2 points. It's in the Aquifer Protection Overlay District, but it's been historically cleared since prior to the adoption of the clearing restrictions. And likewise, like it's the archaeological sensitive area, but has been disturbed, so it would be required as far as I know. Number 15, a comprehensive lighting plan is obviously required. A facility like this may operate at 24 hours, so lighting is going to be important. Elevations and color renderings and sample boards shall be provided, and then mechanicals on the roof and on the ground should be screened from adjacent roadways.
Anthony, the comment about the APOD, how could you have a gas station in an APOD?
It's pre-existing, Glorian.
But if the use has been abandoned, then it's not pre-existing.
Again, I will certainly look at that issue for you.
I'd like to add 18, Anthony.
Sure.
And that is that it's not compliant with the Riverside revitalization plan, but it's also not compliant with the 1990 comprehensive master plan. So those major documents and accepted documents and studies.
Gotcha.
It's contradictory to those.
Okay.
I have a question. I'm not sure where this goes, but there was also testimony regarding this being pedestrian friendly or an encouragement for pedestrians. I don't know, does pedestrian traffic or foot traffic, does that go into the traffic study or does that go into another study? How do we check for that?
Well, I think it's, a little bit of everything, but there is going to be an analysis within the traffic study about circulation. And it should include the ability of, or the assessment of pedestrian friendliness, for walkers and such, or other modes of transportation, bike and so forth.
We make a point of putting that in somewhere so that has to be analyzed, whether we need crosswalks, whether we need markings within the internal process of this. I'm just very concerned about that.
No problem. We could, I absolutely will add that.
Thank you.
Anthony, there's no way to mandate coordination. In other words, the lead agency, the ZBA, coordination is optional. There's no way we can require that they coordinate.
That is correct, Dennis. However, just to remind the board, I am the staff planner to the zoning board. So when the zoning board gets an application and they present it to me, I will, I could certainly make the recommendation, Dennis, that, in the circumstances given the other involved agencies, i.e. planning board, the zoning board, the DPW, health department, that we would want to coordinate, and then we can see where it goes. But you're right, we can't mandate it.
As to Robin's point about pedestrian orientation, it should probably come under 6A, where you talk about the fact that the site is contradictory to pedestrian-oriented development.
Sure.
So some reference there probably would be good.
Thank you.
Any other comments before the applicant would like to make some comments?
Well, Anthony, we have that language requesting coordination. That's in the beginning of the report, correct?
Yes.
We do. Okay.
Yep, totally.
Okay, Anthony, Percio?
Well, actually, hold on just real quick, Dennis. It's actually number 4, and I will move that up.
Okay.
Yep.
Madam Chairwoman.
Keith?
Yes, I am.
Yes.
I am the attorney of record on the file.
Okay, can you just state your name and affiliation?
Certainly. Keith Brown, partner with Brown, Altman and DeLeo, LLP. My address is 538 Broad Hollow Road, Suite 301 West in Melville, New York. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Mr. Trezza, for your comments and your report. I want to start out by saying that we received his report on Tuesday. We scrambled to review it, and we actually just submitted our responses from our private planner, Mr. Jefferson Murphy. And I just want to confirm that we sent it to not only Mr. Trezza, but Ms. Shea, as well as I CC'd Planning Board Counsel, Ms. Murray. So if you can confirm that we received those.
I unfortunately have been in the meeting and I didn't get anything.
We've been on here since 2 o'clock, Mr. Brown. So I believe if we received them an hour ago, we'll have to have an opportunity to review them.
Sure. Well, I will say Mr. Murphy is going to go through each and every one of those comments that are contained in the pre-app report. He could testify to them verbally, but you have the written report. And I would just ask that they take their normal course and be made part of the record of this proceeding. Just globally speaking, we think this is a great project. We think this project is very appropriate for the traffic circle, which is a central part of the eastern part of Long Island. It's as you know, but for the record, it is where 5 major highways come together and provides access to all points, not only the North Fork, but the South Fork, and provides transportation access to the Long Island Expressway, which is the main highway, part of the Eisenhower Interstate highway system that connects Long Island to the rest of the United States of America. So we have taken great lengths to take the comments that we received from the planning board and from staff not only in the written comment, but also during the hearing. We are prepared to make an application to the Zoning Board of Appeals for all necessary variances. As you know, this lot is highly irregular. Not only is it on a traffic circle, which provides a curve to the western side of it, but the remainder of the lot is also very irregular. The site is very difficult in terms of any development that would occur on that property. And with respect to Mr. Trez, I just want to highlight something that he said very early on. The application of the Highway Business District is the appropriate analysis, not the R-01. His other point was that is squarely within the purview of the Zoning Board of Appeals to take a look at the at not only the variances, but also this issue about the two principal uses. So we'll be speaking to the Zoning Board of Appeals on that. And last, I just want to bring up the point, as Ms. Murray knows full well, there's a Court of Appeals case squarely on point, and there's plenty of case law as it relates to special exceptions and special use permits. The North Shore Steakhouse case is the principal case that stands for the proposition that a special use permit is a legislative finding that the use is presumptively permitted within that zoning district. It is a very high standard, not permitted, but presumptively permitted. So I want to make sure that the board understands that, and I know Ms. Murray does. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Murphy, who will now proceed to go through Mr. Trez's pre-app report and our responses. So thank you very much for your time.
So we have not, just so that you know, Jeff, we've not received your comments. We've been in the planning board, so we have not had a chance to look at them or review them.
Understood. Good afternoon, everybody. Jefferson Murphy for the record, 1 Bayberry Lane, Sag Harbor, New York. As part of the project team, I am a private land use planner, and I'm going to be testifying in that function. I have received a copy of Anthony's report and listened to his presentation today. And Anthony's presentation was very well articulated because he raised a number of issues and questions about the proposed application. Unfortunately, many of our comments about the staff report, the issues and comments that Anthony raised are stated as facts and determinations, which is contrary to the purpose and intent of a pre-submission report. And as I go through these points, I will articulate those concerns. But again, this is a pre-submission application. Questions and issues are supposed to be raised, not facts and determinations. We haven't even made the formal site plan application. We haven't made an application to the zoning board yet. And there's a presupposition in here that, decisions have already been made. So we object.
I wouldn't necessarily agree with that, Mr. Murphy. We can wordsmith this, but I would not agree with that.
Okay. So going on to page 2 of the report, there's a paragraph. This is the third paragraph. It says, while this project will be evaluated for consistency with the intent of the R01 and the uses contemplated under section 330.410 of the Southampton Town Code, we strongly disagree with how this paragraph is drafted. Pursuant to 330-402 subsection C, it quotes and saying 7 ROD overlay districts do not replace the underlying zoning rules and regulations that currently exist in the ROD. They provide an alternative option for the landowners to use in developing and redeveloping their lands and buildings within the ROD. All existing rights, allowable uses, approval procedures under the Southampton zoning law remain in full in effect. So we are proceeding to elect to use the underlying highway business zoning, and we're going to be using following the site plan section 330-402 and also the special exception standards of the town code and not the overlay district.
So we can just change that to say, well, the board recognizes the intent of the R01 zone. It'll be evaluated under highway business.
Okay.
Are you gonna,
Okay, terrific.
I just printed out your 12 pages of comments. Are we on action deadline or are we gonna go through 12 pages of comments without the board seeing anything?
Yeah, I think we really should not. I mean, we've not had an opportunity
An
to
opportunity to.
Well,
read these. Yeah.
I'm going to object to that because we certainly could testify to these. Mr. Murphy, we just submitted the report so that we have a written copy for the record, should we need to do so, and so that a court may review it. So I think it's highly appropriate for Mr. Murphy to continue with his testimony, Madam Chairwoman.
Well, I disagree with you because it puts
We
the
have a due
planning board
process right, ma'am.
at a disadvantage.
Ma'am, we have a due process right. Your planner has made certain conclusions and statements, and we have a due process right under the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution and the New York State Constitution. We would like to proceed with our testimony. Thank you.
But we're not at action deadline.
No, we're not at action deadline is my
we're not.
understanding.
Yeah, not at all.
Excuse me, your
This is a
planner,
pre-submission.
your planner just spoke and went through and ripped apart our application. We have every right to respond to this. We received the comments 2 days ago, and we're going to take the opportunity now to testify and respond to them.
Do you understand
Jeff,
what a
please proceed.
pre-submission report is?
Jeff, please proceed.
Very early in the process.
I
Where we
understand that.
flag potential problems
I understand that. We have
with an application.
we have received 10 pages of comments from your planner and your staff, and we would like the respect and the courtesy of responding to them. We provided you with a written copy so that staff can go back and review them. But at this point in time, it is highly appropriate for us to testify to that. Please let us proceed.
Mr. Brown, if I may, I would just note that obviously whatever you submit will be part of the record. You're the applicant. And I think the board would probably just feel like this would be a more meaningful and valuable discussion if they had an opportunity to also review what was submitted at 3 o'clock and not just listen to Jeff read it.
So, Jeff, if we hadn't submitted it, and I gave you the courtesy of the copy, but Jeff can testify to it, and it won't take long. We're spending more time arguing about this now than if you just proceeded. He'd probably almost be done.
Well, okay, we'd almost be done if he's just reading it outright, but I think the board's going to want to discuss his comments as he says them. So,
okay, so we were on our first point.
Yeah, Counselor, may I ask a
Responding
question?
to the first point on the first
Mr.
page of
Brown,
the report. Can he please proceed?
Mr. Brown?
This is highly irregular, by the way. I want you to
It
know
is
that
not,
for the
Mr.
record.
Brown, this is
Mr.
not
Brown,
irregular.
I am a.
This is highly irregular. We have an opportunity to make our comments to the staff report, and we're not being allowed to do that. And I'm noting it for the record that you're violating our constitutional right.
Mr. Brown,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you. Are we going to be voting today on the draft, or are we going to wait to review Mr. Brown's recommendations? Do we have to vote today, or can we wait to vote?
It's a draft pre-submission report.
Right, so we are not voting on it.
So
Right.
So
We
just-
have issues with that report,
Without
and we're
you-
objecting to the staff report.
Thank you, sir. Without you, I'm trying to clarify, if you don't mind. So am I correct? This is a draft report. We got objections or statements or revisions to this draft report at 3 o'clock. We are not on an action deadline. Am I correct? Please interrupt me.
Well, here, you could get on Claire too as well. Yeah. The action deadline falls between this meeting and the next meeting. So I technically, yes, today would be the action deadline. Now, with the applicant's letter, which you haven't read and we're about to hear, listen, at the end of this, we could adopt the report however you want to adopt it. If the applicant wants to give us the courtesy then afterwards to review and consider what he says, that's fine. But at the end of the day, you could vote on this report today and adopt whatever you want.
So, Mr. Brown, what you're being told that it would be to your benefit to allow us to review it, allow us to read it, allow us to understand it, and then get back to you on it than for us to be lectured or have it dictated to us or read to us, and we are making snap decisions.
And
I don't
Ms.
like.
Long, I appreciate that, and I will give you every benefit of the doubt to review not only the testimony by Mr. Murphy, but what we have written, so that you have a chance to digest that. But it is testimony, and it is more than appropriate for you to just hear what he has to say. So now, I have to say again, we're now another 7 minutes into this, and we haven't gotten to point number 2.
I'm not worried about the time. It's my time.
Okay.
So 7 minutes, 6 minutes, that's not the point. The point is to be able to evaluate and read it. My suggestion is I would like, especially since it just came on, and Jeff, you are experienced before this board. You know that we do appreciate and respect, we're given respect and allowed to read it, evaluate it, and discuss it. Jeff, you know us well enough.
May he proceed?
Dennis?
Jackie, as a chair, you have the option, if they want to enter verbal testimony to the record, you have the option to request the board members just refrain from interaction and allow that verbal testimony to be entered into the audio record. How long is it going to take for you to read that into the record? Jeff, do you have an idea?
You're muted.
You're muted, Jeff.
Yes. No, I was deliberately keeping quiet and listening to all the good dialogue back and forth. Debate is always healthy. I've got another at least 5 to 10 minutes of testimony to go through.
All right, so if it's all right with the board.
We understand we're unable to respond or interact with you because we haven't read the report.
Right.
Your counsel wants this report entered into the audio record. I don't know. I've got 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean.
Thank you very much for understanding.
I would just like to comment that the first comments you made, Jeff, they went right over my head. I cannot comprehend what you're saying because you're reading it, and if I read it along with you, if I had it first and read it, then it would help me understand it. But I tuned out because I didn't understand what you were saying because you were reading various technical words. And
well, Gloria, for the record, we're all going to tune in to the best of our ability. We're going to have to try to tune in.
I will try, yeah, but I'm just saying I'm willing
We're
to
wasting time discussing it.
Okay, let's
Now
move
let's
forward.
proceed with Jeff. Read it. We will get copies of it. That's it. We're arguing a case that's not relative.
Thank you, Mr. Zuccarelli.
Well, we've been pushed to the wall and not treated with.
Ma'am, I disagree with your characterization.
Jeff, can you please move forward?
Madam
I'm the
Chairwoman,
chair of
I
this board,
object to that
Mr. Brown.
characterization.
And I'm asking Jeff Murphy to please read into the record his report. We will listen. The board is here to listen, Mr. Brown. The board is here to listen.
Exercising our constitutional right. Thank you.
Jeff, please proceed.
Thank you very much. I'll try to keep my comments as brief and succinct as I possibly can. Under public comments, we have no response at this time. Under the preliminary planning review and issues, these are noted as comments 1, 1A, and 1B. Under comments number 1, we duly note that. Response number 1A and 1B. We believe that these are inappropriate for a pre-submission report and should be removed from the report. We're here to listen to entertain issues and questions from the board and the public and staff. These, especially 1B, that's a statement of fact. That's a determination and not raising it as a question issue. Anthony did a very nice job in his presentation, raising the question as whether or not what we're proposing is accessory. The report is written though as if it was a fact, and that presupposes any application made to you or to the zoning board. So we respectfully request that those comments be removed from the report. items, well, 1C, a variance, all the variances we so note, as Anthony pointed out, we'll need to make a variance application to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Items 1E, relief to allow the proposed canopy to be located 30.6 feet from the street. There is a certain section of the code, 330-115, continuance, and it has to do with non-conforming buildings and structures. And to summarize it, it says that if you have a pre-existing non-conforming structure, you're allowed to rebuild it as long as you don't exacerbate and extend into the non-conforming setbacks. And in fact, we are pulling the canopy back away from the streets and lessening the degree of non-conformity. So that section of the code really should be cited in the report and considered as part of the findings of the board. And I did meet with Dennis O'Rourke on that issue back in April, and he concurred with that finding.
Just for the record, the plans that were submitted listed every variance that I said, other than the first two that you mentioned, but all the other ones were listed on the plans that you guys submitted as relief being requested.
Yep. And the reason why I know that section so well is that when I worked in Southampton, I prepared the initial draft of that law. Items F, G, H, and I, we will seek variances, as Anthony correctly pointed out. Items 3, the planning board believes the proposed 3,000 square foot convenience store is a principal use and not permitted, and therefore requires a use variance. Again, that's a finding, that's a statement of fact, and it's not raising it as an issue or a question, it's making a finding, it's making a determination. And that is not the purpose intent of a pre-submission report. And Anthony, I think when he articulated that in his presentation, worded it that way. Items A, regarding the Zoning Board of Appeals decision upholding the Chief Building Inspector's determination of the proposed 7-Eleven convenience store. That's where Bottle Hampton is and the Crest Restaurant is. That's a separate standalone application. It was a separate use in a strip commercial shopping center. It has no bearing on our application except for a 7-Eleven name. They were not proposing it as being accessory to any other use. It was a standalone use within the strip commercial shopping center. That determination has no bearing on this application, and we respectfully request that that be deleted from consideration. There are a number of zoning determinations and interpretations mentioned in the report, and they're all skewed towards saying that this is a secondary use, when in fact, if you take a look at the record with the zoning board, they have at least a half dozen applications and decisions made that convenience stores are accessory to a gasoline station. So if we're going to say that, include decisions that weigh against our application, there should be equal number of decisions that say that convenience stores are accessory to a gasoline station. So just be fair to the application. Going on to condition number 3B, it says, again, it's presupposing the addition of a gasoline filling station does not change that. In fact, all other 7-Eleven stores within the town operate as a standalone business without fuel stations. Okay, so they are now proposing to include a gasoline station at this location, and they have done so throughout the country. So there's no correlation between the grocery store interpretation and what we're proposing. So again, we believe that that statement should be stricken from the report. Item 3D, the convenience store is a destination use and has the potential to generate significant number of traffic and have an impact on already challenging conditions and circle. We believe that that is, again, a statement of fact. It's not a destination. It's a decision. There's no opinion from an expert traffic engineer from the town offering testimony on this. We actually had a traffic engineer prepare a traffic impact report saying that more than half of this traffic is pass-through traffic going into the area. With regard to the secret action as unlisted, we concur. with traffic items number 4A, B, and C, we do have our prepared a response to that from our traffic expert. He is with us today online, I believe, Keith. I don't know if he wants to speak to those.
He's available
Give me a
if the
thumbs
board
up
has
or thumbs
questions.
down.
Sorry, he's available if the board has questions.
Okay, so if the board has questions about any of his testimony and narrative on the responding to those questions, he is certainly available today. If I could just finish up my comments, and then if the board has questions from our traffic engineer, he's on standby. Given the history of the fueling station regarding potential for underground contaminants, we do acknowledge that, and we will address that when we submit the site plan application. Comment number 6, again, it's a statement of fact. It's making a statement that the project does not conform with the ROD. And again, this is contrary to 330-402 subsection C, where the project has to be evaluated to the highway business zoning and does not have to follow the process or adhere to the design standards in the ROD. Anthony articulated that in his verbal testimony today, but the report does not reflect that. It makes this statement as a fact, not as an issue or something that we should aspire to through the site plan review process. So respectfully request that that comment be deleted. The comment regarding, this is comment number B under 6. Again, this is a statement that because another application in another location was deemed to be a grocery store, has no bearing on this application. I believe it kind of prejudices our application because it's apples and oranges other than the 7-Eleven corporate name. There's no correlation between the two applications and therefore should be deleted from the report. Items, and this is where all under number 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. We duly note those and we will take those under advisement. With the comment number 13A, duly noted, we'll take that under advisement, as with item 13B. With regard to 13C, that says about the lot area being less than 40,000 square feet and it has to have a frontage of less than 200 square feet. Again, this is a statement of fact. It's not a second principal use as stated in the report. Doesn't raise it as an issue or a question. It makes it as a statement and a determination, and we object to that comment. Items number 14 through 16, we duly note those comments and we'll take them under advisement. And then the comment that was made respectfully by the chair, Jackie LaFaro, saying that the application is inconsistent with the 1990 comprehensive plan update. I would respectfully ask that be posed as a question or an issue that we need to address when we submit a site plan application and not as a statement of fact. And I'd be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
If I may, if the board would like to hear from Mr. Valari, otherwise I could summarize his responses to some of the questions.
Jackie, may I say something? You know, like I said, the action deadline falls between this meeting and the next meeting, so we have to put it on for today. Absent the applicant granting this board an extension of the action deadline to May 27th or some other meeting to consider the comments, to consider what they submitted, you know, I can't sit here and say, let me make any changes or any revisions because we haven't had time to look at it. You haven't had time to look at it. So I'm sort of in a situation here. So if the applicant is asking us to take into account these considerations, then the applicant's got to give us an extension of the action deadline beyond today.
I have no objection, Mr. Trezor.
Thank you.
So I could just summarize our responses to the comment. 4A, traffic counts were collected in October of 2020, and they were calibrated in accordance with the industry standards. Those volumes were compared to the historic data that are kept by the New York State Department of Transportation, which includes a traffic count that was conducted in July of 2017 along Riverley Avenue. those 2020, excuse me.
Keith, I'm here, by the way.
Oh, you are. All right. I wasn't sure if Mr. Trezor got my chat. So
I'm here.
Go right ahead then.
Yeah, so for the benefit of the record, my name is Andrew Valeri with the firm Stonefield Engineering, the traffic engineer on behalf of the applicant. So as Mr. Brown was mentioning, we did do traffic counts in October of 2020. Obviously, that was affected by COVID-19, where we had some lower than typical roadway volumes. And what we did was we calibrated those traffic counts by comparing them with DOT, that's traffic counts that are published by the DOT. The DOT does include traffic counts throughout, the recent years. One of them does include a traffic count on Riverly that was from July of 2017. So, summer month, pre-COVID, obviously 4 years ago at this point. So what we did was we compared the October 2020 counts to the July 2017 counts, figure out how much lower the COVID counts were. What we did then was we increased the COVID counts all the way to the same exact level of July 2017. So in essence, our traffic counts are based on summer traffic counts. We didn't stop there. We actually increased those counts even further because we increased the COVID counts to 2017 during the summer. 2017 was obviously 4 years ago, so we increased those again based on ambient traffic growth rates that are also published by the DOT. So, should the comment say that a comprehensive study needs to be done based on summer traffic counts, I would argue that it is, and I don't think we need to address anything further. 4B, we will look at the access design. We feel that it is presently designed in an effective way to get traffic from the public right-of-way onto the site. The drive aisles are designed adequately for the amount of heavy vehicles that may visit the site, be it a landscape truck or a delivery for the store. And then also, the last point about traffic was the parking data point that we've included. The site has 30 parking stalls, but there are 12 additional fueling positions at the pumps. So you do have the accessory use here of someone that may visit the gas station, leave their vehicle at the pump to walk into the store to either pay or perform an additional transaction. So in essence, there are an additional 12 spaces to supplement the 30 striped parking spaces for a total of 42, understanding that we do have a variance where the code requires 36. We included the data point from the Southold 7-Eleven location, understanding that it does not have a gas station there. Our thought being that when you compare the two uses together, where you have a convenience store accessory to a gas station, you think about what does that do for the overall parking demand. So, if we compare the Southold location, which does not have a gas station, if it were to have a gas station, how does that affect the parking? If you used the gas station alone, you would never need a parking stall because you fuel at the pump and you leave. Now, if you use both the gas and the convenience store, you would use a position at the pump, or you may, find a parking stall. There would be plenty of parking in that instance, since we do have 30 parking stalls here. But our thought is that the Southold data is relevant given its location. I don't think it needs to be, discarded entirely just because it doesn't have a gas station, because like I said, the gas station does not increase parking demand. It actually alleviates parking demand because you have those additional positions at the pump here. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Mr. Brown or Mr. Murphy for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Valari. Jeff, do you have anything further you'd like to add? Okay. I have nothing further. I do appreciate the opportunity to respond to these comments. I do understand that while a gas station and convenience store is an application that may not have been the town's first choice, because I am aware that the first choice was to do multifamily on this site, but the lack of sewering of this area by the county has prevented that multifamily development. And as I've said in the past, and just remind the board and for the record, that it's been 10 years waiting for sewers to come to this area, and there is no prospect of it coming anytime soon. So This application is a good application. We believe in this application. It fits within the highway business zoning district, and it is very appropriate for this area of the town. So, thank you.
So are you requesting an extension to adopt the report, Mr. Brown?
I'm sorry, Mr. Finney, I couldn't hear you.
Are you requesting an extension for the time period to adopt our report?
Certainly.
Okay. Jackie, you're muted.
What date would that be, Anthony?
Well, we have a meeting on the 27th, May 27th and June 10th are the two next dates. I can put it on for the 27th. That doesn't bother me.
Is that sufficient time?
But for me, yes, absolutely.
Is there going to be additional reports by Mr. Brown, Mr. Valari, Mr. Murphy before the 27th? Because I would rather not have a drop of a report and have it read to me the day of a vote. Can we have an agreement that if you're going to be putting in additional paperwork on this, that it would come a certain amount of time prior to the meeting so that we can have a productive meeting and not a constitutional discussion?
Ms. Long, with all due respect, I started out by saying that we received these comments 2 days ago. We scrambled to respond to them. We had a conference call yesterday. We drafted them, we revised them, we edited them to make sure that there were no typos, and we got it over to you as soon as we humanly possibly could.
And I have no problem with that, sir. I have no problem with that. What I am asking now is that if there's going to be any additional paperwork, that we get it in time for this board to be able to read it and have it not read to them. That's all.
That's fine, and I'm just responding to your insinuation, so.
It's not an insinuation. sir.
I beg to differ, but that being said, we don't have anything else that we plan to submit to the board. You have our traffic study, which was previously submitted, and you have our responses, so.
That's that. I'm not usually used to being not given the opportunity to read. So we're going to go on to the next date, and if there's anything else, we'll get it in advance. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you all.
So Jackie, it would just be an extension of the action deadline to May 27th.
Okay, can I have a motion by Dennis, second by Zuccarelli, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
I'm done. 18's off the agenda. Yeah, Jackie, real quick to adjust your agenda. Number 18 is off. Fisher Organization is off.
Okay, so are you done, Anthony? You're done.
Yeah.
No, you have both, well, the signed plans. both.
Yeah, Jackie's going to hand. She said she would.
Okay.
Oh, May 25th, Anthony, for the next,
May 27th. May 27th.
Thank you for the report, Anthony.
You're welcome.
Quite complete. Can we just have some verification and description of a pre-submission report?
Say that again, Jackie. I'm sorry.
Give us a definition and a meaning of a pre-submission report.
Want one right now or?
Right now. Quick, Claire?
I can do it.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's a report made to be an outline of how to proceed with the application. It's not a formal application.
That was my understanding.
It's meant to be helpful.
It's meant to be helpful.
Yeah, to determine the conformity, to determine conformity with the provisions and intent of the chapter.
That was my understanding, and that's exactly what we reviewed. So, okay. Well done report, Anthony. Thank you. And
Thank you, guys.
I'm sorry we all had to be at the effect of that.
All right.
So we'll move on. We took a vote for that? Did we take a vote? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Anthony, go home, have a drink.
I still have some time to go. It's all right.
Off the record.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anthony.
Jackie, US Gas.
Yes, and I see Ron Cupola is here. He's the architect representing the application. So I'll just share the screen.
Give us this is expedited review.
Yes.
Oh, this is that small gas station, right?
Correct. Yep.
Where the fence was being installed and
Yep.
the striping was being added and yeah.
Yep. So
What's the issue here?
Yep. So the board had 2 work sessions on this, one in January and I think one in February, where the planning board asked for there to be a landscape island here to prevent parking in the town road in the future, and then also requested that striping be provided for a pedestrian walkway as well here. And you can see the tight, there's lots of cars. It's a little tight, but it is an existing facade change. So they're going to go from a flat roof to a pitched roof. I went to the site on April 29th and took some photos. So this is the sign. So over here on the left is Montauk Highway. Depot Road is behind you when you're looking at these photos. This is the existing fueling pump station. This is where the pedestrian striping will provide connection from sidewalk to sidewalk. That's the view. So now we're looking east at the sign and the same pumps.
Pictures are great, Jackie, make a big difference.
Yeah, it's nice. It kind of orientates you. And so one of my recommendations is that we get a planter somewhere around here to provide some greenery on the corner. So I asked for that as a condition of approval, and the applicant understands that as well. But really, they used to have a planter. I'm thinking it might have been a little too close to the road, but I'm asking for something around here just to break up some of the pavement and provide some greenery on the corner.
I think they might have taken it out when they put the new traffic pole in.
Gotcha. Okay. So, and this is the area where you can see, unfortunately, some of the parking of cars does extend right into the road right of way. So this is approximately where the landscape island will go. And then there's going to be a fence on this side of it, which will help control that overflow parking.
Excuse me, Jackie. As you can tell by those cars sitting there on the, I guess that would be the northeast corner of the property, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can see that those cars are blocking sight lines for anyone looking to make a left.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of trees are you looking to put there?
So actually, the applicant was proposing grass, but I did recommend inkberry, which is easily maintained and maintains some of the leaf in the winter, basically.
Okay, so something low then.
Yeah, it's something low, and it can be trimmed.
Okay.
Also, it's within the right of way. So I did put a call into highway. I didn't get to talk to them, but they can trim it if needed.
Yeah.
Or the owners can, offer to maintain it or maintain it. I'm sure highway wouldn't have a problem with some trimming. And what I kind of like about inkberries is that they can stay low, they can be trimmed, and they're resilient. And then they also are mostly salt tolerant.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So this is a current picture that you took?
Yeah, this was April 29th.
Okay, so there's still parking in the right of way.
Yeah. So this is the dumpster area. It kind of is what it is. It meets code, but we asked that maintains secured. I wanted to show you, this was the best view I could get to show you that there are existing bollards around the propane tank. This is the view from the northwest corner. So you can see these cars are tight along the right of way shoulder of the road. So it'll be a big benefit to delineate the parking island that was requested. So this is the site plan as shown with the parking island, with the existing propane area and the dumpster. This is showing the pedestrian access. This is the approximate location that I'm asking for some greenery or planter to be provided.
Yeah, the only, with Jackie, excuse me, the only thing is, I was just thinking with that light post there, if we put planting around there, it's steel, will eventually get eaten away with all the moisture and stuff like that?
Well, so I was thinking more around the sign, which would be here, Ron.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. I just was, because the original plot plan survey showed that there was a planter there, but I guess it got demolished when they put the new light pole there. So
yeah, it was like a paver
around the sign.
Yeah. Yeah, so I also think too, that was like probably a conflict because this is within the Montauk Highway right of way. So I would like the planter to be more so around the sign.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And I was also, I spoke to Ron and I was also recommending inkberries there as well, which obviously could be planted with any annuals or perennials, but just to have some greenery on the corner there.
Okay, so.
This is the architecture, just to refresh your memory.
Yes.
That's a nice improvement to the site.
The whole thing will be a nice improvement with a little bit of greenery.
Yeah, just a little touch of greenery, still functioning. So this is a conditional approval. I received comments from the town engineer. He had 3 points that he wanted to have addressed. Oh, sorry. I got click happy there. Doesn't have storm or water drainage here. So this is an existing site. I did speak with the building department regarding this, and we are asking for leaders and gutters to lead to a drainage structure so that they can accommodate their new roof structure. With the activity on site, I did speak with engineering and the building division. Basically, the area that would be able to be used for roof drainage would be right here. So we want to control some of that water coming off the roof. It's also a stormwater requirement for a stormwater management zone that building would have picked up, but giving the applicant a heads up will also allow them to show it on the site plan, but we're anticipating it in this location.
Okay, so.
Do you want me to get to the conditions?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I did talk to the fire marshal's office. They did say that one of their fire marshals was out of the office. So they did, apologize for the delay, but I talked to the chief fire marshal on this, and he said that he didn't have any issues with the existing site plan and that the business, annual business inspections were all up to date so that the safety concerns were addressed. They will do routine annual inspections, but I have as a condition of approval that we get fire prevention review prior, and I'm leaning towards prior to signature if the board is inclined to do so.
Jackie, could you pull up the site plan just briefly one more time?
Sure.
The western curb cut, the eastern curb cut, you probably want to have that. I mean, you're just doing striping. No, the one on Montauk Highway. It's actually not a curb cut, it's the whole asphalt. You probably want to have some striping, just to have arrows one way. You wouldn't want vehicles exiting that area, would you? So could we usually put signage?
Oh, you know what? We could, you could prohibit left-hand turns.
Yeah.
The arrow coming into the site is going to be hard for somebody to see.
Even a right-hand turn. Well, what about an internal sign? So,
No, that's what I'm thinking. I'm just saying people coming in from Montauk Highway, they might not see the arrow where you want them to enter and exit. But what we could do.
Well, they may miss that one. They could certainly use the other one. I'm thinking more vehicles. You wouldn't want vehicles exiting that curb cut, whether they're going, west or east, especially east, because you have a signalized.
There is really no curb cut there now.
Yeah, I know. But we're doing striping, so I'm thinking maybe a little small internal sign.
It's possible to do like a small internal sign here and here to say no left-hand turns.
Yeah, something.
Yeah. Dennis, it's funny. I was thinking about trying to control and asking for an island here. It's just too tight. It's too tight. To have an island here, to have the striping there and have the pumps there, it would not function, unfortunately.
A little internal sign saying no left turn at that eastern area, might help.
But there's we could possibly, right here, put like an internal sign.
Put it in the plants.
Yeah. And I was just thinking maybe right here, as people are exiting, just to discourage left-hand turns. I can add that as a condition. Let me write that.
Okay, Ron, are you comfortable with this? And
yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Yep, so it's a very basic condition of approval. I'm just asking him to revise it to show planters with inkberry, provide inkberry spaced 3 to 5 feet apart within the proposed fence grass island. Note the material of the fencing, which is proposed to be PVC. Revise the drawings to provide for the roof drainage, curbing of the landscape islands, and handicap sign to be installed. I will add to this the no left-hand turns along Montauk Highway. And just general conditions are fire prevention review prior to signature. So I'm going to strike the building permit. no parking or storage of vehicles within the right of way of Depot Road or Montauk Highway. All newly installed lighting shall comply with lighting code. And all HVAC shall be screened with native evergreen plantings in compliance with town engineer recommendations.
Okay. So with those changes, can we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
By Glorian and second by Dennis, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor. 18 is off the agenda.
Yes, 18 is off the agenda.
Anything else off the agenda?
Yeah, 19 is off the agenda.
19 is off.
And so we can go to Woods at Hampton Bays, which if you could please let in, I believe, Michael Strauss and David.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Matt.
Bye.
Madam Chair, Deputy Town Attorney Christine Scalera will be sitting in on this application.
Okay, great. Hi, Christine, how are you?
Hi, Jackie. How are you?
Hi.
Hi.
Better.
You guys.
Rough day.
All right.
Jackie?
Yeah,
who's coming in?
I was just making sure Charles has Michael Strauss and Dave Gilmartin.
I don't see them.
I don't see them.
They were planning on.
No.
They're not here.
Okay.
Jacqueline Wilson is here. but
Who's
that's not-
Jacqueline Wilson? Is she part of this?
No, she's actually for the ag fence for hay ground.
Okay.
Towards the end.
So we move on?
Sure. Do you want to come back to this just in case?
Yeah, we'll come
Because
back to it.
it's really their request, so I'll move on. So Jackie, would it be okay with the board to move on to item number 22, which is Rolling Ridge Section 2?
The sign? Sure.
This is a
No.
termination of
Oh,
offer.
That requires a signing. Or a
Yes.
signature.
Oh, yes, that you have to sign, yes. Okay. All right, so let me share the screen. All right, so this is the Rolling Ridge Section 2. What happened was, if the board will remember, we had in 2017, we had a covenant amendment that realized that we no longer needed the future road reverter. And in 2020 and 21, we actually also offered approval on another application for covenant amendment for the road reverter. So Kathleen and I have worked together, and really there's no need to have an open offer for this anymore. So this resolution essentially terminates the offer of dedication, as the town has purchased the property to the west. So there will be no development of the property to the west. So this is, again, the common driveway that was planned for a future road. The town now owns this stretch of land here on the west. So this offer was requested by the planning board, and we are just proposing to terminate the offer overall. Kathleen and I reviewed diligently the meets and bounds description of the road, and this portion of the road has already been taken into the town highway system. So we're confident that essentially we're just terminating this portion of the offer.
Does it take a regular vote, or do you need a supermajority?
Kathleen, do we need a supermajority? I know we discussed this. I can't remember.
I don't believe so, but I suspect you might have it anyway.
Yeah. Okay, are there any questions on this? If not, I'll accept a motion to approve. Motion by Zuccarelli, second by Craig, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor. So there we have it. I did see some note from Michael Strauss saying, I'm here, but.
It's possible that they may be on the tonight Zoom. They might have pressed the wrong link because Charles doesn't see him, but.
He's not in the attendee list. There's no one in right now.
Okay. So should we keep moving forward?
Yeah, sure. Michael, if you can hear us, try to re-log on to the 2 p.m. Zoom, and I'll move on.
To the M4 lumber holding.
Anyone text him?
M4 lumber is off the agenda.
It's off. Number 21 is off.
Yes. Yeah, and then so we did 22, so the next one would be Hayground Farm.
Hayground fence, okay. And someone, Jacqueline Wilson is here for that.
Yes, she's here for that.
Okay, number 23.
And let me just share the screen. Give me 1 second. All right, so this is the resolution. This is actually just, we adopted approval for an agricultural fence on this, actually on our first meeting, May 14th, 2020. So Jacqueline is here and they're requesting additional gates. So you can see, let's see here. Oh, sorry, this is the subdivision map. Here we go. So what, after submitting building permits, they just realized that they really do need a truck or like a personal vehicle gate right here that would be 10 feet. They had originally asked for, I believe, this gate. Is that right, Jackie?
Yeah, the 20-foot gate.
This is a 20-foot gate. So if you can see, and you, those of you who live closer to the Bridgehampton area, this used to be a farm stand with more of a circle driveway in and out. So what they're asking for is an additional 20-foot gate, which I think makes a lot of sense. So that way one farmer can get in and get out. And obviously it's on Montauk Highway here. So what we're doing is we're amending the approval to allow for the 10-foot gate for just like a pickup truck essentially, and then allow for an additional 20-foot gate to improve that circulation and help with any traffic safety issues along Montauk Highway.
Okay.
Okay.
Makes sense?
Yep.
Any questions? Okay, motion to accept by Zuccarelli, second by Craig, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 6 in favor. Bola is acknowledged of a signature,
Thank you. Yep.
and we are left with just that one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Madam Chair, I'm trying to walk the applicants through getting on. For some reason, they're having an issue with the Zoom link from the site.
Okay. So we'll wait a bit.
I'm going to step out and just see if I can walk them through it.
Okay.
What application is that for?
This is the woods at Hampton Bays. Do you guys want to just take a
Oh,
look at it?
Yeah,
They're asking,
Sure.
or do you want to wait, Jackie?
Let's see. Well, there's no point in starting if they're not here, because then we'll just have to reschedule it.
Well, we have a couple of minutes. We could wait.
Yeah, we have 3 items for tonight. It's 25 of 5.
I think we'll get a lot of activity on the Bridgehampton Golf Course housing. Got a lot of correspondence.
Yeah, got a couple of letters on that, right?
Starting to nervous eat now.
What are you eating?
Popcorn.
I'm just going to excuse myself for one moment.
Yes.
Well, that, if it's plain popcorn that's healthy, it just kills your teeth.
Yeah, it's skinny pop. It's matchas and all that good stuff. And it's one for me and one for the dogs. So I don't only get a third of the bag.
Will that keep the dog from barking?
No, nothing will keep the dogs from barking. I just have to switch over to mute faster.
I mean, with Zoom, you get to meet lots of pets.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the barking dogs and the good dogs and the dogs
I
that
was
want to
on
be in
a,
your lap.
on a Zoom with the consulate from Denmark, and we had to stop till we got his dog out of the room. So it's happening to all of us.
And how many pussycats come across the screen?
I heard a few meowing there. Was that Patty's or?
I have no animals in my house, so it wasn't I.
No, I'm at work, so they're just missing me. They're not meowing right now.
Oh, okay. Somebody was, I heard meowing. I didn't know where it was coming from.
I heard meowing as well.
Didn't you?
Yeah.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
For some reason, they're not able to get on. The link that I see in the town's website. They don't have access to for some reason. So they're asking if they can
I
talk
can
through.
send the link.
Can you send, Dave, can you send you a link?
I can text it
Can
to you.
Charles send, all right,
Does that work?
What were they asking for?
they were gonna ask to speak through my cell phone on a speaker.
That's cool. I mean, they can do that too. That's faster. You're already on, right?
I have David on, I don't have Michael Strauss's number. but-
I can text you the code.
I just sent Michael Strauss the link.
You sent Michael Strauss a link? All right,
Yeah.
Jackie just sent Michael Strauss a link. Can you send one to David Gilmartin?
Sure.
Thank you. All right, Jackie's sending you both the link right now. David,
Technology, man.
You should be able to get on.
David? I lost him. Okay, so hopefully that will work.
Okay, I just sent it to David as well.
Okay, thank you. This is David. Jackie just sent you a link, David.
He said links to both of us.
I sent
Yes.
links to Michael and you, David.
Check that, thank you.
Okay.
Christina, it was nice seeing you the other day.
Oh, you too, Gloria. Too bad we couldn't stay outside. It was so beautiful.
I know. Well, I was in and out very quickly.
Charles, I was always curious if somebody's not in the actual conference, they are listed as an attendee, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, I just wanted to double check that.
Yeah. And there's no one there yet.
Hmm.
Except me.
Oh, here's somebody.
Here they come. Michael Strauss.
Okay.
Yep.
Hi, it's Michael Strauss, finally.
Hi,
I'm sorry
Michael.
for the delay.
Hi.
Not in the actual conference, they are listed as an attendee, right?
Yes, that's great.
Hi.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
Hey, Michael, did you want to wait for Dave to log on or would you like to?
I think I can start, if that's all right, because you've been very patient. I appreciate
Yes,
it. We've
David.
done this many times we've always been able to do it. I don't know what happened. I'm sorry.
Davidson.
Inconvenience, but I appreciate your patience.
David, if you like, I have aerials and maps that I can, as you present, I can scroll through.
Sure. So, as you know, we're asking for a waiver from the requirement that. Hi, it's Michael Strauss, finally. I'm sorry. I don't know why it's echoing, but
Do you have a phone on? Do you have a phone open?
no, I don't. Anyway, as you know, we're asking for a waiver of the typical requirement to have final health.
Charles, are you hearing that?
Mary, it's echoing now and back and forth. We've always been able to do it. I don't know.
So why don't we do this? Everybody should mute except the speaker and see what happens.
Mary, it's just repeating. We have to close the first link. I'm sorry. So crazy.
No, it's echoing because the first link didn't work.
Yeah, terminate the first link.
Is this the one you're on? Or is
I
this
don't
my
know.
one you're on?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, hopefully this will be normal now. I really, technical issues. Anyway, as you know, we're asking for a
Hey,
waiver.
Michael, you're not a cat, so don't worry about it. You're a step above.
As you know, we're asking for a waiver from the typical requirement to have the final health approval to proceed with final approval. And there's just an unusual set of circumstances here, which is why we're asking for a waiver in this particular case. Of course, 2 affordable lots were required. And typically in the past with affordable lots, when you need 2 more credits for health approval, we've gone to Suffolk County who can provide them. And Jacqueline Fenlon, who's always been extremely helpful through this whole process, suggested that we use a town trade parcel and it would be more efficient. And that was perfectly fine with us. And we made our application to the Health Department Board of Review, and they granted the use of 2 credits from that parcel. While typically you have to submit a whole package with title and all signed covenants, the town wanted to first have all the language, because they have some special language that they would like, which is fine, approved before they would sign them. So I submitted everything to the health department and asked for permission in this particular case for them to take a look at all this even before it was all formally signed and submitted. And when they did, one of the things they noticed, and this was later last year, is that the deed of record for the town didn't match the map they had on the department because they had never completed an abandonment. And a good amount of time was taken to look into whether they were going to complete that abandonment and match the map on file with the health department. And it was ultimately determined by the town that they were just going to adjust the amount of flow they were using for that parcel, which also required and necessitated some language changes. That's all been finalized now. My understanding is there's a resolution on today which would approve the supervisor signing these covenants. In these last number of months, because of this very unusual situation with the particular trade parcel, we really, of course, can't move forward with final approval. We have everything else done with health except the 2 Pine Barrens credits we're submitting, but my client really doesn't want to incorporate them into the map until everything else is done, because once you do, you can't get them out of the map. And that's something that just takes about 10 days. So given the public policy goal of having affordable housing and following all the procedures to do it, and this unique situation that will never come up again. So there's no precedent, because this is very unusual that this happened and ends up costing us a number of months. Not to mention COVID in the last 14 months, which has just, of course, made everything for everyone more difficult and slowed things. And my client has a lot of sales there and needs to try to move it along to get started. We're asking for this exception in this one case. Even if we get the covenants in the next week or 2 from the town, we have to submit them with the title. They have to be reviewed, then they have to be recorded. So there's still going to be a time lag, and being able to proceed simultaneously with our final application would be of tremendous benefit and save us several months. Of course, as is the case with most every other town, there will be a condition in the final approval that says you must have final health approval. And of course, the chairperson of the planning board would not be signing the health Mylars unless they are stamped by the health department. So there's no problem that could ever occur with the town, because they're not going to sign a map unless it has final health approval. And we all know exactly what needs to be done. These covenants have to be filed, and then we'll just incorporate the 2 Pine Barrens credits. So we're here, just any questions you have, and just please, if you could grant this waiver in this one case, it would be tremendously appreciated. And these several months that it's going to save would be critical to the whole project and my client.
So the waiver would be to preclude the health department approval before the final, correct?
Right.
Submission,
And of course,
submission,
of course, it would be a condition of final, of course.
Yeah, the submission of final application.
Absolutely. It's been submitted, actually.
But we could hold off on final action until you secure health department approval, correct?
I mean,
it's the signature of the map. You can hold off on the signature of the map until such time as we provide health department approval. So there's a catch. There's a catch in the process. where it won't fall through the cracks. You just don't sign the map until such time as the health department.
Why would you want final approval before health department? What's the urgency of getting
It
final?
allows us to proceed through this process, between final and then getting the map signed, there are a lot of steps that we can satisfy.
Covenants, bonds, dedication papers, yep. It would, and that will follow, I'm going to assume that the health approval is not going to be far after getting the final approval if we're allowed to move forward. Because we're going to be going full steam ahead with getting the health covenants approved and recorded as soon as we can get them back signed by the town. Perhaps Ms. Fenlon has a better idea than I do, but that could be a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, the first passing a resolution for the supervisor to sign them. Now that this is all straight.
The supervisor that resolution was already passed. So I'm walking
great.
through the covenants today after this meeting. I have everything in the file.
Wonderful.
So sign it pretty much immediately on his own schedule.
We're already updating the titles, so we can put the whole package in as soon as we get them.
So you have filed with the health department or you have not?
Oh, sure, we've gone through a very lengthy process. We've gotten even the approval to use this trade parcel. We've satisfied everything else except these covenants, which this has been the holdup on it, and incorporating 2 Pine Barrens credits, which again, that's a 10-day thing. You just tend to not want to put them into a map because then they're gone forever till you know everything else is straightened out.
So Jackie, what are you saying, that the town has acted on this? And
Well, so we've been working behind the scenes to help facilitate the use of a town parcel and basically donate those to the applicant. It has caused some delays between January and now because we did want to establish the full yield or flow associated with the CPF parcel. The CPF parcel is right here, just so you have an idea. We actually, Kathleen and I actually worked on a resolution also to abandon it. But instead of delaying the applicant and using the full square footage, in April, what we did is we amended the town board resolution to acknowledge the existing meets and bounds and property size, which there's a long a road right here that basically goes north-south. So we were working to facilitate that, but instead we decided to not hold up the applicant and to work on the abandonment separately and basically acknowledge the existing meets and bounds description with the health department. So it's this parcel right here, which is 86 Old Country Road, which is going to transfer 600 gallons per day of flow to this parcel for the 2 affordable units.
And what risk do we have by doing the waiver, Jackie?
It's just a rare request. I haven't seen too many in my experience.
That's what I'm asking. What would be the risk?
Does it set a precedent?
It doesn't necessarily set a precedent, particularly if you are articulating some unique circumstances. You're well within your rights to give the waiver under 292-44. And if you note 292-31, it says that you may, it's a may. So you're entirely within your realm of what you can do if you choose to do this. And if you distinguish it, particularly in light of the unique circumstances with the transfer.
If I might suggest, as I said before, I think if we're fortunate enough to have your approval, you should put right in your resolution that in the rare instance where there is a trade parcel used for affordable lots and the public policy benefit of affordable lots in an unusual situation that has to be rectified with the trade parcel for the credits, then in that case only, you can waive the requirement to have health before you apply for final while that's being completed. It will never happen again. It doesn't lock you into a precedent. And again, I think you're just helping something that's in connection with a very laudable public policy goal of affordable housing. And the town's been very gracious in offering these 2 credits from their trade parcel, and we all want the same goal. I really just see it as a positive all the way around. I can't see in any way how I wouldn't ask if I thought there was any way this could hurt the town. I wouldn't even ask you.
We still have to articulate that language in the findings, so.
Yes.
Jackie.
Yeah, I'd be happy to work on that. I understand. I mean, I very well understand all the issues because I've been working on this with Michael.
Yeah,
throughout.
we've spoken a lot about it, yes.
Yeah.
Even though we say we're not establishing precedents, there's going to be an applicant coming down the pike that says, we're having slow down health department, please move us along.
Absolutely. Right.
So this way we can whip out the language and we'll be covered.
So
I agree. I can agree completely.
perhaps you can craft that language and let us take a look at it and we'll get it on. for
Yeah,
the
I mean, I'm comfortable working on that and then I could send you the draft, but if you'd like to act on it today, if the board is
Is
comfortable.
the application otherwise complete? The final application?
They had some mapping issues. I had a telephone conference with the surveyor in late April, so they're working on the revisions that I needed.
So it's not complete.
Anyway,
It's not complete, like, so we wouldn't be acting on a completeness, but we could act on a resolution acknowledging the waiver of the health department.
Or wouldn't want to draft that incorporate that into the completeness resolution?
Well, I don't have the revised maps yet. So if you want to honor today a resolution that says that you will waive the health department requirement in this specific case, I can definitely provide that resolution.
I would want the language. I would want to look at the language that you're going to put together for that.
So we could bring it.
I wouldn't be comfortable voting on just the waiver.
Okay.
I mean, that's my take on it.
Sure. So we could bring this back on the 27th and then I can work on.
And have a completion resolution as well.
Well, I don't have the revised maps yet to do so.
Might not be complete on the.
It is totally reasonable to have complete revised maps and I will make sure you get them.
There you go.
Almost instantly. Totally reasonable.
so everything can go on the 27th. We can see the
Yeah.
resolution, we can have the maps, we can do everything.
And you have to help me because I'm not being as argumentative as 7-Eleven was.
The only reason you're still on the Zoom.
We couldn't dream.
It's going crazy to get on.
I think we can just erase that from the proceedings.
I've heard a lot of hearings, but that was.
Yeah. Well, people don't understand what a pre-submission conference report is about.
Michael, is it okay if we look
Yeah,
at the language before?
that's all fine. I think it could all come together. Jackie can draft the language. We can get the final in and maybe have it all come together on the 27th. That would be great.
That would be
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your help.
Thanks, everyone.
I really appreciate all your patience in waiting till I could get on. I do appreciate that.
Technology.
Not a cat.
Par for the course.
Thank you. Have a good
Thanks.
evening.
Take care.
Take care.
Okay, we've completed the
Do
agenda.
we have to
Thank
do
you.
an action on that, Jackie? Do we
No
have?
action.
So I'm going to bring it back for the 27th.
Yeah, when it's much more complete.
Just didn't want to leave something dangling.
I think we've covered the agenda. It's 5:05, so you have a little bit of time to have a cup
Motion
of
to
coffee.
adjourn till 6 p.m.
Motion by Dennis, second by Robin, all in favor. Opposed, okay, we're adjourned.
Good.
Thanks, Christine. Bye.
Thank you, Christine.
Good hearing.